Chapter 21. Is your ice as cold as my fire? Lin Xiao's words struck the Ice Empress like a slap. Her laughter died instantly. She froze her pincers midair and fixed him with a glare that radiated murderous intent. Coldness, like an invisible blade, washed over Lin Xiao. He stepped back instinctively. She was furious. "Tell the one behind you to show himself," she demanded. "I want to see if you all can actually kill me." She sneered inwardly. They wanted her spirit ring. Fine. She would see whether they had the means. There had to be someone backing this brat. Who else would let a level 15 human swagger into the far north alone? A soul like that wasn't going to be naive enough to risk becoming a spirit ring, unless someone powerful was protecting him. Becoming a god? Ludicrous. A spirit beast's intelligence wasn't so easily fooled. Lin Xiao sighed. "Teacher, you should be the one to speak. My strength is too low. She won't believe me." In this world, strength spoke louder than words. If he had the power of a titled Douluo now, the Ice Empress might have believed half of what he said about becoming a god. With more persuasion, maybe even 90%. With his present level, she believed nothing, like a beggar telling a prime minister, "My lord, I can help you become emperor." Who would take him seriously? The Ice Empress snarled. "Heh, as I thought, there is someone behind you. Humans are truly cunning." She wanted to see exactly how many titled Douluo were supporting him. Lin Xiao ignored her and opened his ring. A white mist seeped out, and the sage-like figure of Yao Lao manifested beside him. Power. Pure power. Even as a soul form, Yao Lao radiated a pressure that made the Ice Empress tighten her stance. Something about his aura, his bearing, suggested depths beyond a normal titled Douluo. The soul pressure alone hinted at a strength that might exceed that rank. A sliver of unease flickered through her. Lin Xiao looked the Ice Empress in the eye. "Now can you listen? Ice Empress." With Yao Lao present, Lin Xiao felt steadier. Borrowing someone else's authority bolstered his confidence. The Ice Empress stared at them both, curiosity and caution warring in her expression. For reasons she couldn't name, she wanted to hear what they had to say. "This is my teacher," Lin Xiao went on. "You can treat him as an existence above the titled Douluo level. Exactly how strong he is, honestly, even I don't fully know. With my teacher's help, my becoming a god is certain. That's why I'm here. I want you to become my soul spirit." At that, the Ice Empress snorted with contempt. "In the end, you still want me as a spirit ring." "You're being hypocritical, human," she spat. "How laughable." Lin Xiao blinked. No one had told him she'd be so sharp-tongued. "It's a soul spirit. I'm not asking you to be a spirit ring." "Is there a difference?" she challenged. "A huge one," Lin Xiao said firmly. "Becoming a soul spirit means you won't die. You become a unique soul form. After I become a god, I can reshape your physical body, let you leave your spirit beast form. You'd live on as a guest with my teacher and another senior, which would help your future growth. And most importantly, spirit beasts cannot become gods on their own. Even that Skydream ice worm who has always fancied you has already chosen a human." Lin Xiao laid out the benefits plainly. The Ice Empress listened, staggered. If it had been only Lin Xiao, she might have dismissed it as nonsense. But the elder beside him didn't object. That meant what he claimed carried weight. She mulled it over. Yes, it was possible she might not survive a 400,000-year lightning tribulation. Even if she did, what then? 500,000? 600,000? Even if she overcame every tribulation, spirit beasts simply could not become gods. The implications hit her like a cold wave. What can you show me to make me believe this?" she demanded, breath fogging as she exhaled in agitation. Yao Lao raised a hand. The Ice Empress sent out a puff of ice mist, but before it could reach Lin Xiao, it dissolved into glittering crystals and fell to the ground. In Yao Lao's palm burned a flame the color of forest frost, white as bone and sharp as glass. It was fire, and yet it felt not like anything on this continent. It radiated a bone-chilling cold that contradicted its fiery nature. "Little scorpion," Yao Lao said softly, "is your ice as cold as my fire?" He let a wisp of the bone-chilling flame drift toward the Ice Empress. Before it even touched her, the great spirit beast began to tremble. Her whole body shook. Even her soul quivered. She recoiled as if facing some primordial terror. She flinched aloud. "I believe you. I believe you." Yao Lao smiled faintly and drew the flame back. The Ice Empress had already guessed this flame was not of their mortal world. No ordinary fire here could have sent such a chill through her. Yet this forest white flame had cowed her completely. Against it, her ultimate ice felt meaningless. Lin Xiao couldn't help smirking. She changed her tune very quickly. The Ice Empress sagged to the ground. The moment before had been too frightening. How could such a thing exist here? This. She struggled for a name, feeling small and bewildered. Old Grandpa? She asked after a pause, testing the term. Lin Xiao burst out laughing. The Ice Empress glared at him. She couldn't defeat the old man, but surely she could at least address him properly. Old Grandpa, she repeated, louder now. Are you really a god? She already believed him to be a god in her heart, but she wanted the confirmation straight from him. Yao Lao stroked his beard and answered in a way that left her stunned. I am not a god, he said. I don't know how strong a god is. The Ice Empress blinked. Ah? She had expected a straightforward yes. His strength, pressure, and the way he moved screamed God. How could he deny it? Truly, I am not a god, Yao Lao continued. But once, a god said, I am stronger than he. Lin Xiao raised an eyebrow. Teacher, you've learned bad habits from Elder Yi, he thought, amused. The Ice Empress's eyes widened in confusion. So that was what he meant by not a god, a modest denial, rounded out by the boast of some other god. The contradiction only made her more unsettled. Powerful people acted in baffling ways. She had expected certainty, but instead she had to wrestle with riddles and a fearsome display of power. For the moment, though, belief was achieved. The Ice Empress, shaken and still reeling from the bone-chilling flame, had been convinced enough to listen. Stronger than a god, just one look, and Lin Xiao knew that manner came from Elder Yi. No one else would act so arrogantly. The suspicion in the Ice Empress's heart finally faded. If the other party was more powerful than a god, and this child was his disciple, then becoming a god seemed within reach. If what he said was true, it might even save her from dying in her next 400,000-year Great Tribulation. Why not gamble and try to turn a bicycle into a motorcycle? The Ice Empress looked at Lin Xiao. Human child, can that spirit soul method really let my soul survive? Lin Xiao smiled faintly. Ice Empress, this spirit soul method was researched by my teacher and another senior. If that's the case, I'll agree to become your soul spirit. The Ice Empress decided quickly. Having two god-level figures guiding a human like him was too good an opportunity to pass up. What do I need to do? Just become my spirit ring, Lin Xiao said. The Ice Empress snorted. After all that, it still came down to a spirit ring? Lin Xiao added with an awkward smile, I never said I didn't need you as a spirit ring. The Ice Empress rolled her eyes. You're only rank 15. I can't even become your spirit ring. She spoke flatly. Even if she wanted to become a soul spirit, it would be difficult. But at that moment, a pale white flame appeared in Lin Xiao's hand. It looked similar to the bone-chilling flame, though its power was less than 1% of the original. The Ice Empress stiffened, then relaxed as she sensed it. The child's flame posed no threat. She heaved a long sigh of relief and asked, You have twin spirits? What's the connection between this flame and that old man's? Lin Xiao nodded. I have twin spirits. This flame mutated after gaining a trace of my teacher's divine charm. The Ice Empress's expression changed. No wonder the flame looked so familiar. He'd absorbed a trace of the other's divine charm. Ultimate ice, she whispered. An ultimate ice flame, Lin Xiao confirmed. The Ice Empress was stunned. Ultimate ice, casually as a second spirit? No wonder he wanted her to become a soul spirit. Such talent was terrifying. Humans truly were blessed by fate. This flame had become ultimate ice merely by being tainted by a trace of divine charm. No wonder she had been scared of it. It truly was beyond the mortal realm. Kid, what do I do next? She asked. Now she was determined to cling to this thigh. The other side already had the strength to kill her, yet was giving her a chance. If that worm became a god and she wasn't one, what an embarrassment for a scorpion. Yao Lao then explained the method and precautions for becoming a soul spirit. The Ice Empress listened in a daze, her mind nearly unable to process it. The technique was incredible. She swallowed and nodded, only partly understanding. All right, little scorpion, I will assist you when the time comes, Yao Lao said gently. The Ice Empress agreed. Kid, what spirit bone do you need? I can condense one for you. Lin Xiao brightened. A torso bone. It would strengthen his body martial soul. The Ice Empress nodded. Get ready, kid. I'm coming. She poured out the terrifying soul power she had accumulated over nearly 400,000 years. An ice-blue magnetic field wrapped around Lin Xiao, and the air went deathly still. The thudding of his heartbeat sounded loud in his ears. Yao Lao watched closely, equally curious about such a powerful spirit beast sacrifice. Following Yao Lao and Elder Yi's guidance, the Ice Empress began to transform into a soul spirit. Little Scorpion, seal your energy. Just enough for Xiao Xiaozi to reach rank 20 is fine, Yao Lao warned, preventing the Ice Empress's overwhelming soul power from flooding Lin Xiao all at once. The Ice Empress complied, controlling and sealing her soul power into Lin Xiao bit by bit. As Yao Lao had instructed, once the transfer was complete, she shed her physical body and became a soul to enter the spirit ring. Lin Xiao's whole body trembled. The Ice Empress's power was too fierce, and even with his body martial soul, he could barely withstand it. Fortunately, she didn't use the bone first, then soul, then ring method from the original tale, so the pain was less than it might have been. Still, it was agonizing. Cold sweat streamed down his forehead. Excruciating cold radiated through his limbs and bones. Time crawled, and the cold sweat on his brow finally eased. A torso spirit bone condensed by the Ice Empress floated before him. Teacher, Ice Empress, I succeeded. Lin Xiao breathed. He sensed the change. His constitution had improved at least threefold, his soul power had reached rank 20, and his body martial soul's fire spirit had obtained its first spirit ring, a red spirit ring stamped with nearly 400,000 years of age. The Ice Empress emerged from the spirit ring in soul form, alive, intact, and looking curious as ever. Xiao Xiaozi, she said softly, regarding the spirit bone with a touch of reluctance. After absorbing my spirit bone, your constitution can improve even further. Teacher, do you want to study this spirit bone? Lin Xiao asked, pointing at it. Yao Lao shook his head. No need. This is a treasure. I can tell what's inside with a sweep of my soul force. When that fellow Elder Yi recovers, he can research it more thoroughly. For now, you should absorb it. A spirit bone was simply a treasure. Yao Lao's specialty was pills and souls, not treasure research. Lin Xiao nodded and put the spirit bone away, planning to find a safe place to absorb it later. Little Scorpion, you don't need to stay in that ring. How about keeping the two of us old fellows company? Yao Lao offered. The Ice Empress's eyes lit up, and she quickly agreed. All right, old man. Yao Lao waved and sent the Ice Empress into Lin Xiao's ring with him. Then he turned to Lin Xiao with a gentle look. Xiao Xiaozi, from now on there's no need to hide anything from your teacher. Teacher will not harm you. He shielded the ring afterward, so their conversation inside could not be overheard. Lin Xiao's heart skipped. Had his teacher already suspected? From the Stardow Great Forest to the Soul Spirit, from the far north to the Ice Empress just now, Lin Xiao had slipped and called her name naturally. It would have been strange if Yao Lao hadn't noticed. He had not expected Yao Lao to bring it up so soon, nor so gently. Teacher, Lin Xiao said, I am a soul reincarnated. I won't say much about my past life, but I happen to know many things about this world and even about your world, but I'm only limited to knowing things. Compared to you, I'm far behind. Yao Lao did not reprimand him. He smiled. Xiao Xiaozi, I could tell. Spending so much time together, your talent is clear, and I knew you understood a lot. But when it comes to cultivation and experience, you were like a blank sheet, no foundation. Still, sometimes you acted as if you knew many things. Now I see why. When Lin Xiao had once called the Ice Empress's name, Yao Lao had already been suspicious. Hearing the confession, he relaxed. Everyone had secrets. The important thing was that the child had told him. Xiao Xiaozi, from now on just speak plainly. No need to be secretive. You always worry and find excuses to remind me. If you're tired, I'm already tired from it, Yao Lao said. Lin Xiao gave a helpless laugh. He had underestimated his teacher's broad-mindedness and felt a little ashamed. Yao Lao was, after all, a truly good teacher. Realizing how silly his earlier worries had been, Lin Xiao resolved to make full use of his foresight and be open. Thank you, teacher, he said. Yao Lao smiled faintly and ruffled Lin Xiao's head. Little fellow, you still have your teacher. Their bond as master and disciple deepened. There was no need for Lin Xiao to hide anymore. Teacher, aren't you curious about what I know about you? Lin Xiao asked. Yao Lao shook his head and turned away with his hands behind his back. Not curious. Only the unknown is worth my exploration. Besides, I'm not in that world now. Knowing more would only add to my troubles. Lin Xiao felt foolish, like a clown. What he had worried so much about was trivial in his teacher's eyes. Yao Lao truly was Yao Lao. There was still so much for him to learn. Chapter 23, The Third Stage of Battle Qi. After today's events, the bond between Lin Xiao and Grandpa Yao had grown noticeably closer. The relationship of master and disciple had deepened. Xiao Xiaozi, when do you plan to absorb that spirit bone? Grandpa Yao changed the subject, no longer pressing the previous matter. Everyone had their secrets. He already knew enough. Later, my soul power has already reached level 20, Lin Xiao replied. For refining that spirit bone next, I plan to convert most of the soul power inside it into Doji Qi, battle Qi, cultivation. My Doji Qi still hasn't broken through properly, he added. Even with your suppression, the imbalance between the two energies is uncomfortable. One's high, the other's low. It doesn't feel right. Originally, he'd intended to use the spirit bone to push his soul power to level 20, but the Ice Empress's soul power had already driven it there. It was fortunate. If Teacher hadn't taken that step to push his soul power up first, it would have been far more difficult. Grandpa Yao nodded. And after that? First, I'll go to the Star Do Great Forest to see the auspicious beast. Then I'll travel to the body sect for the second awakening of my body martial soul. Lin Xiao had a clear plan. He hadn't forgotten the Snow Empress. Choosing not to take her now was deliberate. He intended to impersonate Xuanzi later to pull off a robbery. Grandpa Yao approved. With nothing else to hold back Lin Xiao, he turned into a white mist and slipped into the ring. Once they tidied everything, Lin Xiao set off toward the Heavenly Soul Empire. He estimated the timing. Huo Yuhao should have finished Shrek's assessment by now. From the time Huo Yuhao escaped the White Tiger Duke's mansion to the end of the first semester had taken a year. Shrek's assessment occurred 3 months after enrollment, and after the assessment, Huo Yuhao went on vacation to the extreme north. By now, the assessment ought to be over. Between tracking Huo Yuhao into the Star Do Great Forest, staying there, and the trip to the extreme north, almost half a year had passed. Time flew. The Ice Empress was already his. What would Huo Yuhao choose as his second spirit? Lin Xiao wondered. Whatever he chose, if it was ice attribute, Lin Xiao's ultimate ice would counter it. There was nothing to worry about. Inside the ring, the Ice Empress in her soul spirit form felt the abundant energy gathered there. When she noticed the gray energy mass that was Electrolux, she trembled. This other senior was also extremely powerful. Little Scorpion, since you're here now, we're family. Don't be shy, Electrolux said politely. Electrolux, don't scare the Ice Empress, Grandpa Yao teased, appearing in the ring with a smile. I'm not scared. I'm just too weak, the Ice Empress hurriedly protested. Lying would be useless. Both elders were overpowering. She didn't want to offend them. Don't be formal. Call me Grandpa Yao. As for that one, call him whatever you like, Grandpa Yao said. Call me Elder Yi. Grandpa Yi sounds odd, Electrolux quickly offered. A third person made things infinitely more amusing than just Grandpa Yao alone. The Ice Empress smiled and repeated, Grandpa Yao, Elder Yi. She played up to them and immediately won their favor. You can stay here. If you want to go out, you can go on your own. If there's anything you don't understand, ask one of us old fellows, Grandpa Yao soothed, patting the Ice Empress's head. In her small scorpion form, she looked quite charming, obedient even. The Ice Empress nodded gratefully. These two grandpas were too kind. Outside, Lin Xiao had already left the extreme north and was headed to the Stardew Great Forest. 2 months later, in a safe spot within the forest, he wrapped himself in a swirl of cold ice. The Ice Empress lay curled on his leg, contentedly absorbing the battle qi emanating from his body. The warm, living battle qi delighted her. Inside Lin Xiao, his doji qi grew steadily denser. The Ice Empress's spirit bone on his chest slowly imprinted itself into his body. He didn't undergo the kind of skeletal transformation Huo Yuhao had experienced. His own body remained his own, and to him that was best. As the fusion with the torso bone progressed, an ever stronger icy aura spread from him. The cave froze over. Ice crystals spidered across the walls. Lin Xiao converted the soul power stored in the spirit bone into doji qi, following the burning technique to refine it without pause. Bit by bit, his strength rose. Doji qi cultivation wasn't like soul power. There was no hard limit at level 10. Given enough time, he could seclude himself until he became invincible. But it was far harder to cultivate than soul power. Advancing quickly through the higher stages was extremely difficult. Moving even toward the 9th stage in a short time was no small feat. He couldn't extract every last bit of energy from the spirit bone. During the conversion, some power seeped into the ring and was stored by Grandpa Yao. Lin Xiao immersed himself in the regimen. A month later, he opened his eyes. The two energies inside him felt imbalanced again. His doji qi had overtaken his soul power. Doji qi, 3rd stage, he shouted, drawing a deep breath. He had finally reached the 3rd stage of battle qi. Cultivating doji qi had been brutal work, but the payoff was immense. Lin Xiao's face lit up with laughter. The spirit bone had been successfully refined. He stood at doji qi 3rd stage, and his soul power remained at level 20. This round of improvement was huge. He'd reached the level of the Flame Emperor back in the day. The Ice Empress, stirred by Lin Xiao's shout, rolled her tiny scorpion eyes. "Xiao Xiaozi, you're only a spirit elder. What's there to brag about?" she said, half teasing. Only a spirit elder and so proud, his temperament needed work. Lin Xiao ignored the teasing. "Ice Empress, are you saying my current aura equals a spirit elder?" "Yes," she replied, nodding. "Spirit elder." The energy in the Ice Empress's 400,000-year spirit bone had truly been considerable. Lin Xiao let out a satisfied sigh and, with a palm, shattered the ice filling the cave. He stepped forward and welcomed the sunlight he'd been craving. Sunlight spilled over Lin Xiao, warm and comfortable. Nothing beat sunlight. It was infinitely better than the biting cold. Standing in it, Lin Xiao felt relaxed. 3rd stage doji qi, rank 20 soul power. He didn't know his exact combat rating, but he remembered easily defeating that 3,000-year-old ice jade scorpion before. He still had energy to cultivate do qi. The ring held a healthy reserve, enough to work with for a while. The Ice Empress perched on his shoulder in miniature form and asked, "Xiao Xiaozi, have you decided what spirit beast you want for your 2nd spirit ring?" "There are plenty of spirit beasts in the Stardo Great Forest," Lin Xiao said. "I want a dragon type with the darkness attribute." His goal was clear, a powerful dragon. The Ice Empress blinked. "Are you crazy? Aren't you worried DTN will come looking for trouble?" Lin Xiao shrugged. With Grandpa Yao and Elder Yi backing him, what was there to be afraid of? If someone didn't like him, they could just fight. The Ice Empress, suddenly bold, brightened. "Right, Grandpa Yao's with you. Let's go. I'll take you to hunt dragons." Lin Xiao patted his forehead. "Don't rush. Follow me. There's somewhere I need to visit first." The little scorpion looked unusually bellicose. Daring to provoke DTN was reckless. She followed as Lin Xiao led them away. Half a day later they arrived where he had made his earlier agreement with the auspicious beast. "Lin Xiao, be careful. There's a strong aura here," the Ice Empress warned the moment they arrived. "Don't worry. I'm here to see them," Lin Xiao answered. A golden-furred beast leapt out, baring its teeth. "Lin Xiao, you lied to me. How long has it been? You only just arrived." Lin Xiao stared. This was the auspicious beast? "You can talk?" "Of course I can talk. Don't change the subject. You liar. Why did you only come now?" Her teeth showed in a grin of offended pride. She'd been annoyed by what she called his breach of contract, and to think he called himself a friend, bad human. Lin Xiao scratched his head. "Then why didn't you speak before? Back then you just went, oh woo woo." "And I never lied," the auspicious beast shot back. "Didn't I tell you if I didn't show up in 3 months, the cooperation would be postponed?" She looked toward the dense forest behind her and called, "Is that what Lin Xiao said back then?" From the tree line, the Scarlet King, a 3-headed beast, poked out his heads. He nodded, then shook them as if to correct himself. No, this cunning kid didn't say that." Lin Xiao gaped. Fine, if they wanted to play like that. He made a face at the Scarlet King, who was being evasive. The auspicious beast, evidently satisfied with her performance, turned and faced Lin Xiao. Helpless, Lin Xiao produced a pill he'd refined and popped it into her mouth. She chewed instinctively, and a warm current rolled through her. Delicious, she declared. Lin Xiao, do you have more? I want more. Her anger evaporated the moment she tasted the medicine. Lin Xiao smiled and took out 5 more low-grade pills, ones he could spare, and handed them over. The auspicious beast devoured them and, licking her lips, said, I forgive you. Humph. Lin Xiao ruffled her head. You still didn't answer why you didn't talk before. It was fun, she said, grinning. Watching you ask the Scarlet King what I meant, hilarious. The Scarlet King peered at the pill and suddenly wanted some himself. Hey, Lin Xiao, can I try one? Lin Xiao tossed a pill to him. It was faint but pleasant. Even he admitted it was tasty and energizing. No wonder the auspicious beast liked them. The auspicious beast produced a pile of medicinal herbs. Pick some. Use these things from earlier to trade, she said. They contain energy too, so you don't have to use what's in your body. The Ice Empress's eyes widened when she saw the herbs. Lin Xiao had recognized the 3-eyed golden lion among them, an impressive connection. The auspicious beast and the Scarlet King noticed the Ice Empress on Lin Xiao's shoulder. The Scarlet King didn't think the tiny scorpion was strong, but the auspicious beast sensed something unusual about her. She decided to ask Lin Xiao about it later. Lin Xiao studied the herbs and then looked up at the Emperor Auspicious Beast. This time, I want to trade for something else. The Auspicious Beast raised an eyebrow. I was going to give you 30 pills and 50 energy crystals. How about that? Lin Xiao, what do you want to trade for? The Scarlet King asked skeptically. Lin Xiao met the Auspicious Beast's gaze and said slowly, the living gold beneath the lake of life. Just a small piece. Both beasts reacted at once. No, impossible, the Scarlet King barked. Who would give that up? The Auspicious Beast didn't answer immediately. She studied Lin Xiao. What do you want the living gold for? To save someone, Lin Xiao said plainly. 3 simple words made her hesitate. He wanted it to save another. He was his friend. She mulled it over. If what you say is true, I can owe you a favor. Consider it you recovering losses for us. I could decide to agree to the trade, but you must double the original terms. She smiled slyly, turning compassion into leverage. The Scarlet King, still suspicious, scratched at one head. If the boy's claim was true, then trading a little to reclaim what a thief might steal made sense. Besides, they wouldn't be losing out. The Auspicious Beast would be owed a favor, and future gains would be possible. The presence of the unusual Ice Empress on Lin Xiao's shoulder also made the deal more palatable. She sensed that this human wasn't ordinary. Lin Xiao nodded. 60 pills and 100 Douqi crystals was not a heavy price. He had refined many pills recently, and his ring contained plenty of Douqi. Trading them for a piece of living gold was a bargain if it could save someone. The Auspicious Beast felt she'd made a shrewd decision too. Granting a favor now would bind the boy to her and let her profit later. Everyone stood in silence, a heartbeat, each already thinking of what the future might bring as the agreement hung in the warm sunlight. Chapter 25. Auspicious Beasts. Xiaolinger, Detian appears. Lin Xiao felt he'd gotten a good bargain, and the Auspicious Beast felt the same. Both sides were convinced they had gained, neither believing they had lost anything. When interests aligned, things could proceed smoothly. Lin Xiao agreed to the Auspicious Beast's conditions. I'll go inform Detian right away. I want to see if this is true, Scarlet King said, then looked at Lin Xiao and added, take good care of the Auspicious Beast. Even if you die, the Auspicious Beast must not. Lin Xiao rolled his eyes at Scarlet King, too lazy to argue with the creature's self-important nagging. As Scarlet King stalked away, the Auspicious Beast's gaze dropped to the Ice Empress. Isn't that the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion? It asked Lin Xiao. Lin Xiao froze. The Auspicious Beast's vision was that sharp? Even Scarlet King hadn't recognized her. Before he could answer, the creature continued. Her condition is strange, but I can still sense that familiar aura. Lin Xiao nodded. The Ice Empress, one of the 3 great heavenly kings of the far north. At that, the Ice Empress drifted closer to the Auspicious Beast, drawn by its aura. It was said that some spirit beast's cultivation could accelerate near an Auspicious Beast. Even in her soul spirit form, the Ice Empress seemed drawn to it. The Auspicious Beast hadn't expected the other party to be the Ice Jade Empress Scorpion, one of those legendary heavenly kings. Its mind spun trying to reconcile the gap. Lin Xiao was only a level 20 spirit master, while the Ice Empress was a spirit beast nearly 400,000 years old. The Ice Empress is in a state called a soul spirit, Lin Xiao explained. She has become my spirit ring, but she hasn't died. It's more like a symbiosis. The auspicious beast gaped, struggling to grasp the idea. Lin Xiao continued, when Scarlet King brings me a 10,000-year-old dark attribute dragon-type spirit beast, I'll demonstrate. The auspicious beast brightened. So that was it. It wanted a spirit ring. Fighting and killing were unpleasant, but if this was how spirit rings could be acquired, still after a spirit ring. You're going too far, Lin Xiao, it snorted, pointing a paw at him. It won't die. It'll be just like the Ice Empress. Are you satisfied now? Lin Xiao smiled. The Ice Empress nodded solemnly. Auspicious beast, what he says is true. I am in a soul-like state. I have not died. Trust him. At Lin Xiao's small nod, he released his spirit ring. A red ring materialized before the auspicious beast, proof enough. The creature's skepticism melted into astonished belief. So that's why you didn't return to keep our appointment these past few months. You went to find the Ice Empress? The auspicious beast asked. You could say that, Lin Xiao answered. So about my second spirit ring? The auspicious beast rolled its eyes. Cooperation, it said. I'm risking a scolding from Detian to find a dragon-type spirit beast for you. Was it really you and not Scarlet King? Lin Xiao probed, mildly embarrassed to expose the little fellow. Same difference, the auspicious beast retorted, flapping its paws. Lin Xiao let it be. Lin Xiao, didn't you say you would give me a name? The auspicious beast demanded, leaping into his arms and staring up at him. Lin Xiao chuckled. What, you want a human name? Why not wait a little? If you try to take a human form now, Detian might come after me. No, not right now. I just want a human name. The auspicious beast didn't care about a form, it only wanted a proper name. After a moment's thought, Lin Xiao said, My name is Lin Xiao. How about Xiao Linger? Linger. Spirit, lively. It suits you. The auspicious beast repeated the syllables softly, then burst out, Fine, from now on I'll be Xiao Linger. It was endearingly tsundere, indignant words, but a face that betrayed pure joy. No more Wang Chower. The auspicious beast had a new name. Lin Xiao smiled and watched the little creature for a moment longer. Then Scarlet King returned, breathless and furious. Kid Lin, you were right, he growled. Damn it, our home was robbed. The auspicious beast cocked its head, baffled. Food stolen right under so many fierce beasts' noses? What stole it? It asked. A golden tortoise, Scarlet King said. Detian's handling it now. It won't end well for the thief. Xiaolinger nodded, satisfied. A golden tortoise, that explained it. Scarlet King produced a small sliver of living gold and tossed it to Lin Xiao. Kid Lin, this is what the auspicious beast promised. It's yours. It was small, barely the length of a finger, but Lin Xiao accepted it gratefully. He took out 60 medicinal pills and condensed 100 energy crystals as payment for the auspicious beast. Linger, what about the spirit beast I mentioned earlier? Lin Xiao asked. A 10,000-year second spirit ring. I can arrange it. The auspicious beast said, glancing at Scarlet King. Scarlet King, go tell Detian. Scarlet King listened as Xiaolinger explained the soul spirit matter, and upon learning that the scorpion was the Ice Empress, was stupefied. Its 3 heads could hardly process the revelation. Kid Lin, wait here, Scarlet King said. I'll go at once. Scarlet King left without hesitation, not the brightest, but obedient as ever. A short while later, a figure in black robes arrived with a terrifying presence, Scarlet King trailing behind in deference. Golden eyes fixed on Lin Xiao, cutting like knives. The aura of a superior being radiated from him. Every movement carried the weight of a king. Detian. Lin Xiao recognized him at once. Only Detian could make Scarlet King behave so subserviently. Inside the spirit ring, Elder Yao watched with interest. It had been a long time since he'd encountered someone of such power, but he kept silent, unsure whether his presence was detectable. Human, Detian said in a calm, commanding voice, lifting the auspicious beast to inspect it. His gaze then turned to Lin Xiao. Explain this soul spirit matter to me in detail. The auspicious beast wriggled and leapt straight into Lin Xiao's arms, preferring the aura that belonged to him. Detian didn't stop the beast of fortune. Instead, he grew more interested in Lin Xiao. For the beast of fortune to behave this way toward him, this human had to be special. Maybe the future of the Spirit Beast clan rested with him. DTN's mind raced. A method like the Spirit Soul technique that could win over spirit beasts and remove the need to hunt them. What a benefit. Could this young man be the hope of the Spirit Beast clan? Lin Xiao neither knew nor cared about DTN's thoughts. As long as they didn't threaten him, he was indifferent. He looked up at DTN. Bing Di, explain it to him. You're a spirit beast too. It will sound more convincing coming from you. Bing Di drifted forward and recounted the events. DTN listened closely. The more he heard, the more convinced he became that the Spirit Soul method would benefit spirit beasts. It would stop the need for hunting and allow a mutually beneficial relationship with humans. When Bing Di finished, Lin Xiao spoke. DTN, I know you want this method spread, but I don't have the capacity right now. When I do, I will spread it. DTN studied Lin Xiao carefully. The man carried soul power comparable to a level 20 spirit master, yet his bearing was that of a spirit elder. Strange, but everyone had their secrets. For Lin Xiao to make such a promise was already unexpected. Little one, DTN said, I heard from the Scarlet King that you are a friend of the Beast of Fortune. Since the Beast of Fortune recognizes you, I won't say more. From what you've said, I, DTN, hope you succeed. I hope your Spirit Soul method will spread across the continent in the near future. DTN regarded Lin Xiao with goodwill. Someone acknowledged by the Beast of Fortune might indeed become important for spirit beasts, and DTN had no reason not to show favor. He then signaled to Scarlet King, who pulled a dragon-type spirit beast from the jungle, an aged one, roughly 20,000 years old. Little one, demonstrate your Spirit Soul method, DTN said. Lin Xiao's eyes lit up at the sight. 20,000 years, not bad. DTN, can you make it offer itself? It would be easier if it offers itself. DTN nodded and instructed the spirit beast. Obediently, it offered itself to Lin Xiao. Bing Di drifted over to assist. Under DTN's witness, the dragon transformed into a soul spirit and entered Lin Xiao's spirit ring. Lin Xiao began refining the soul power of the 20,000-year spirit beast, converting part into Do Qi and absorbing part as soul power. Half a day later, Lin Xiao came out of cultivation. 2 spirit rings materialized at his feet, one purple, one black. Lin Xiao snapped his fingers, and a massive black dragon rose from the black ring. The dragon bowed respectfully to DTN, then shrank and floated beside Lin Xiao. Bing Di hopped onto its back with delight. Xiao Xiaozi, this mount isn't bad. I like it, she purred. From now on, your name is Little Black. Bing Di was pleased. Finally, another spirit beast to keep her company. DTN watched, convinced. The transformation had been real. The spirit beast hadn't died. It had become a soul spirit. He turned to Bing Di. Take good care of my clansmen. DTN already knew Bing Di's identity. For a being like her to willingly follow Lin Xiao, and for the Beast of Fortune to befriend him, perhaps this person could change things in the future. Little one, DTN added, if you ever encounter something you cannot handle, you can come find the Beast of Fortune. With that, DTN left, leaving Scarlet King and the Beast of Fortune behind. Lin Xiao understood the implication well. Seeking out the Beast of Fortune meant ultimately finding DTN himself. He accepted the goodwill. More allies meant more options. Making friends with the Beast of Fortune had clearly been worthwhile. After offering the Beast of Fortune a few more pills, Lin Xiao bade farewell. Linger, wait to take human form until I return, he said. Linger popped a pill and ate it with a crisp sound. Only when Lin Xiao's figure vanished from sight did she turn and leave, Scarlet King trailing to guard her. 2 trips to the Stardow Great Forest, and both times Lin Xiao returned with bountiful gains. This time, he even acquired a small piece of living gold. His level rose to 23. Part of the energy from the 20,000-year spirit ring converted into Do Qi, and another part into soul power. Bing Di had taken Little Black into Lin Xiao's ring to show Grandpa Yao, leaving Lin Xiao alone to hunt. A roar and a hiss reached him. Lin Xiao hid, parted the grass, and peered out. A fierce tiger and a bluish-green python were locked in a standoff. He called into the ring, Bing Di, how old are these 2? Bing Di drifted out, glanced, and answered, 5,600 years. Then she returned to the ring, leaving Lin Xiao to act. 2 5,000-year spirit beasts. This would be a good test of his current strength. He called out 2 spirit abilities in succession. Second spirit ability, Dark Body. First spirit ability, Dark Feast. Darkness rolled off him like a cloak. Dark Feast bolstered his power. Dark Body strengthened his defense. Lin Xiao stepped forward and unleashed the darkness toward both beasts. The tiger and python erupted. Claws and fangs lunged for him. Lin Xiao leaped. His 8 extremities collapsed, descended onto the tiger's back, forcing a howl from the beast. The python swung its tail, trying to smash both of them. Lin Xiao shouted, dodged sideways, and lunged forward, driving a palm into the snake's head. The tiger, recovering, aimed a rending claw at Lin Xiao's back. In that split second, a crushing pressure fell from the sky, pinning both tiger and python in place. Lin Xiao frowned. Someone had stolen his prey. He scanned the surroundings. "Who's there? Show yourself," he demanded, alert. From inside the ring, Grandpa Yao's voice reached him. "Xiao Xiaozi, be careful. The other party is a Dou Ling." The aura around Lin Xiao hardened. A terrifying yet holy light descended from above, and a clear, cold female voice called out, "Are you an evil soul master?" The voice arrived before its owner could be seen. Then a figure stepped out from beside a large tree behind Lin Xiao. She was stunning, aloof and gentle at once, like something remote and unreachable. Lin Xiao didn't hold back. "Calling someone an evil soul master, then you must be from Shrek," he snapped. The woman tilted her head, puzzled. How did one sentence make him think she belonged to Shrek? "Why would you say that?" she asked. Lin Xiao answered coldly, "Who else would arbitrarily label someone an evil soul master just because they sense a dark attribute?" The woman was taken aback. She hadn't expected him to leap to that conclusion. Had Shrek's reputation really sunk so low? Indiscriminate and unreasonable, no one was like Shrek. Labeling someone an evil soul master the moment they opened their mouth, it was ridiculous. Lin Xiao didn't even want to acknowledge the person in front of him. He had little goodwill for Shrek. Huo Yuhao hadn't exactly improved their reputation later on, and he favored keeping his distance from that faction. He turned to leave. The woman in front of him stepped into his path. "Stop. Don't go until you explain yourself," she said. Lin Xiao smiled coldly. Of course, this was Shrek. Heh, typical. Call someone an evil soul master one moment, then stop them from leaving the next. He really didn't want to interact with her, bullying others with their strength, pretending not to get involved in continental affairs until it suited them. Shrek was a cancer, arrogant and hypocritical. "Move aside," he said. The woman didn't budge. She appraised him carefully. Her face was cool and elegant, but there was a softness beneath it. She didn't behave like a proud Shrek disciple. Do you want to join Shrek?" she asked bluntly. If he wasn't an evil soul master, they could accept him. His power was respectable. Lin Xiao shook his head. "I don't have a high opinion of Shrek." He tried to pass, but she planted herself in his way. Lin Xiao's expression hardened. If she wouldn't move, he was ready to call old Yao out. He might not be able to defeat her alone, but he could bring reinforcement. The woman smiled. "If you explain why you dislike Shrek so much, I'll let you go. How about it?" Of all things, someone who actually wanted to hear complaints about their own home. Lin Xiao finished his sentence with an even thinner laugh. "Shrek's actions disgust me. Isn't that obvious? If you want to know, go find out for yourself. Don't waste my time." He was about to push past, but the woman wouldn't relent. She'd never encountered anyone who hated Shrek this deeply. She intended to get to the bottom of it. "Little fellow, if you don't explain, I won't let you leave." She clearly wasn't afraid. He was only a spirit grandmaster, and she had time. Lin Xiao tapped his ring idly. Old Yao inside understood immediately. "Xiao Xiaozi," old Yao's voice whispered in his mind, "shall I lend you the bone-chilling flame to play with?" Lin Xiao's eyes lit up. "Can I use it?" he replied silently. He knew the bone-chilling flame's power, but worried his current skill might not be enough. "You can't control it properly," old Yao warned. "You can only throw it." That was enough. Lin Xiao grinned. If it could be tossed, it would do the job. In his palm, the bone-chilling flame materialized. He smiled wickedly. "Shrek, let this be the first time your bone-chilling flame tastes blood." He wasted no more words and hurled it. The moment the flame appeared, the woman reacted. She summoned her spirit to defend. Behind her, a moon materialized, and at her feet, 8 red spirit rings flashed, one of them a 100,000-year ring. Lin Xiao's eyes widened. Moon spirit, 8 spirit rings with a 100,000-year ring. Only one person fit those signs. Zhang Lexuan of Shrek. Too late. The bone-chilling flame was already on its way. Zhang Lexuan stared at the incoming fire, a cold dread climbing her spine. She hadn't expected a child to threaten her life like this. "What kind of flame is this?" she hissed as it seared toward her. Old Yao's voice sounded in Lin Xiao's mind. "Kid, run! A powerful expert is coming!" With old Yao's concealment, Lin Xiao slipped away. The bone-chilling flame was recalled, but not before grazing Zhang Lexuan, burning her arm. She had summoned protection, but the attack still left a half-charred burn. If the attacker had intended to kill, no ordinary healing could have saved her. An emerald figure appeared beside Zhang Lexuan in an instant, followed by a surge of life spirit that enveloped her. "Lexuan, what happened?" a man asked, surprise coloring his voice as he inspected her injured arm. He moved to tend the wound. If the flame had been used in earnest, she would have been fatally injured. Fortunately, this time it had only been thrown without precise control. Zhang Lexuan ground her teeth. She hadn't expected to be bested by a spirit grandmaster. If that boy hadn't been interrupted, she might have died. When she tried to report what happened, the words stuck in her throat. The boy had called her name, Lei Xuan, and seemed to know about Kong Deming of the Sun Moon Empire. Had that name truly been related to her? The man who had arrived was Zhuang Yusen, a life title elder of the Sea God Pavilion. He looked skeptical as he listened. Still, this was Shrek's eldest senior sister, Zhang Lexuan, so there was no reason to doubt her outright. "What exactly happened?" he asked, scanning the area with his mental energy. He found no trace of a spirit grandmaster. Lin Xiao had already fled under old Yao's concealment beyond detection. Zhang Lexuan recounted the attack, but omitted Lin Xiao's final words and his evident resentment of Shrek. Zhuang Yusen listened and grew less convinced the more he heard, though he suppressed his doubts for now. "Let's head back," he said. "No," Zhang Lexuan replied. "I won't go back yet. I have something to do." She refused to return immediately. Lin Xiao's parting words echoed in her mind. That strange flame, the powerful soul power of the spirit grandmaster, is calling her name and mentioning Kong Deming. The more she thought about it, the more alarmed she felt. If any of it were true, it could complicate everything. Chapter 28. The Battle Emperor with a Pure, Dark Green Body. The elder looked at Zhang Lexuan and could only nod in the end. The child had grown up and had her own ideas. "Be careful this time." Zhuang Yusen could only say that, too. Zhang Lexuan nodded, bid him farewell, and hurried off in the direction Lin Xiao had left. As a spirit grandmaster, Lin Xiao couldn't have gotten far, she reasoned. She was right, he hadn't gone very far, but because old Yao was nearby, Zhang Lexuan didn't notice him even when she passed. After searching the area and finding nothing, she gave up. "Forget it. Whether it's true or not, I'll know when I go take a look." She was desperate to learn the truth about her family's destruction. The details were lost to her memory. This was her greatest wish, and now the opportunity was right in front of her. She wouldn't let it pass. With her mind made up, Zhang Lexuan left the Stardo Great Forest and headed toward the Sun Moon Empire. Hidden in a patch of grass, Lin Xiao relaxed when old Yao's voice slid into his mind in its usual lazy tone. "Xiao Xiaozi, it's safe now. You can leave." Lin Xiao nodded slightly and slipped away. First Zhang Lexuan, then another unknown powerhouse. His luck had been terrible. The Stardo Great Forest was still too dangerous. Having obtained what he wanted, he didn't linger. After one last look, he left. A week later, Lin Xiao appeared in the capital of the Heavenly Soul Empire, Heaven Do City. The body sect, guardian of the Heavenly Soul Empire, that was his destination. He wanted to awaken his body martial soul there. He didn't know how to awaken a body martial soul, and he wasn't sure how to explain it to old Yao. His spirit should be the same as Dubuzi's. Their spirits were their bodies. Dubuzi would understand this kind of cultivation well and should know how to trigger a second awakening. Besides, if Lin Xiao was going to pull off something big, he couldn't do it without Dubuzi. Dubuzi was also displeased with Shrek. When the time came, Dubuzi, old Yao, Electrolux, and Lin Xiao could give Shrek a massive surprise. Lin Xiao looked forward to it. Unconsciously, he found himself at the place where he had bought equipment before. He remembered being a level 10 kid back then. Now he was level 23. Time really did fly. With a small sigh, he headed toward the same auction house. As soon as he arrived, he took out the token the old man had given him. The young attendant welcomed him enthusiastically. A moment later, the old man appeared before him. "Senior, long time no see," Lin Xiao said with a smile. The old man was overjoyed. He had searched for any trace of a Lin Xiao going to the body sect and had concluded he'd been tricked. Until now. "Lin Xiao! Ha! I thought you'd fooled me, kid." Lin Xiao gave an embarrassed smile. "I was delayed by some matters and only just arrived. I caused you to worry." "Senior, could you take me to the body sect?" Lin Xiao asked. The old man laughed with delight. "Let's go right now." He took Lin Xiao's hand, and they left the auction house, finding a carriage bound for the body sect. Inside the carriage, the old man looked at Lin Xiao and asked, "Lin Xiao, I haven't asked, what is your body martial soul?" If it was a good spirit, the sect might reward him. Contributing to the sect was good regardless. "My spirit is the same as the body sect's sect master's spirit," Lin Xiao replied, not saying it outright, but making the meaning clear. The old man's eyes lit up. "A body spirit. Excellent. Lin Xiao, rest well. I'll drive the carriage myself." He hopped down and shouted for the carriage driver. Lin Xiao could only go along. The man's enthusiasm made it impossible to refuse. It was a pity he hadn't been given a flying spirit tool. Otherwise, they wouldn't need a carriage. Though Lin Xiao suspected he couldn't use a flying spirit tool yet anyway. Inside the carriage, Lin Xiao cultivated. He hadn't given that small piece of living gold to Electrolux yet. He planned to hand it over once things settled. He wanted to see if Electrolux could use the whole piece. If not, he might still gain some benefit. Even if it was used up, the carving knife remained. He could find a way to get it back sooner or later. 3 days later, they reached a hidden natural chasm, the location of the body sect. The gatekeepers stepped aside respectfully when they saw the old man. Lin Xiao followed, taking in the body sect's layout carefully. As one of the 3 major powers alongside Shrek and Mingde Hall, the body sect was imposing. Dubusi was a level 98 titled Douluo. There were many titled Douluo under his command. Old Yao's senses stirred. "Xiao Xiaozi, I sense many powerful auras. 1 Do Huang and several Do Wangs." "That Do Huang's aura seems familiar," Old Yao muttered, trying to place it. "Teacher, that Do Huang wouldn't happen to be the one you encountered before. The one whose spirit appeared emerald green when released, would it?" Lin Xiao asked. He remembered Old Yao telling him about a Do Huang whose released spirit was emerald green, the strongest Old Yao had met before his recovery. After meeting Di Tian, the strongest title had shifted, but the memory remained. Old Yao's face lit up. "Exactly. That's the one. I wondered who it was." Lin Xiao's mind clicked into place. A Do Huang with an emerald green spirit, this had to be Du Buzi. Although his spirit was a body and of the poison attribute, much like Lin Xiao's own darkness attribute, when Dubusi released his spirit, it took on a dark green hue. It was fate. He had met Dubusi before, and now again. Old Yao and the body martial soul were truly fated. "Teacher, that powerhouse you mentioned should be the body sect's sect master, Dubusia," Lin Xiao explained. "So he's the master of a sect. No wonder he's so powerful." Old Yao's respect deepened. "Xiao Xiaozi, a sect like this ranks among the top on the Douluo Continent," Old Yao warned gently. "Joining such a sect would be very beneficial for you. Don't act foolishly later." He worried Lin Xiao might refuse a proper master because of him. One could have many teachers. Old Yao was not so strict as to prevent Lin Xiao from taking another master. After all, he had already told Lin Xiao there would be another teacher once he obtained Electrolux. Chapter 29. Treading on the sun and moon to determine the universe, holding the sun and moon in hand to plucking stars. Yao Lao was the sort to accept that. In their world, it wasn't unheard of to have more than one teacher. Still, now that Yao Lao had brought it up, he worried Lin Xiao might be confused later. Lin Xiao felt a warm rush in his chest. "Teacher, don't worry. No matter how many teachers I have, you'll always be first in my heart," he spoke solemnly. Yao Lao had truly treated him well, and Lin Xiao trusted him completely. Yao Lao smiled faintly. The boy was thoughtful. "I'm not one to be picky either. Xiao Xiaozi, that other fellow, Electrolux, is waiting for you." Lin Xiao nodded. He followed the old man up the mountain until they reached a great hall. It looked like any ordinary hall. This had to be the body sect's discussion hall. "Wait here for a moment. I'll report to the sect master," the old man said, then rushed off, leaving Lin Xiao alone. He looked around. The hall was plain, nothing special. Then a voice came from behind. "Who are you? This is not a place for an outer sect disciple." Lin Xiao turned. The man looking at him wasn't very old, but was clearly older than Lin Xiao. He carried an air of arrogance, though his tone wasn't openly haughty. "I am Lin Xiao, and you are?" For a moment, Lin Xiao couldn't place him. The body sect's most powerful figure was Long Aochen. Could this be him? Lin Xiao studied the man carefully. His bearing suggested someone of high standing. "Long Aochen?" the man said softly, a trace of doubt in his eyes. He couldn't believe someone in the body sect didn't recognize him. A smile flickered through Lin Xiao's mind. Long Aochen, the chosen successor of Doupo and the strongest of the body sect's younger generation. His fate had once been tragic, but now that he was here, that fate might change. Lin Xiao remembered that Long Aochen had been much older than Huo Yuhao and considerably older than himself. His strength was that of a spirit ancestor, approaching Spirit King, and his second spirit ring was already purple. Lin Xiao noted the respect the man commanded. Before he could say more, an excited voice echoed from outside. "Where is he? Where's the youngster whose spirit is a body martial soul?" Laughter followed, bold and exuberant. The voice belonged to Doupo, who strode in with several body sect elders behind him. Upon hearing the words, body martial soul, Long Aochen's gaze turned toward Lin Xiao with keen interest. This boy shared the sect master's martial soul. "Sect master, this is Lin Xiao. His spirit is a body martial soul," the older man introduced. Doupo's face lit up and he embraced Lin Xiao. "Good boy, your physique is excellent." "Could you manifest your spirit for me?" Doupo asked eagerly. Lin Xiao nodded. Dark purple light swirled around him as he revealed his spirit. "Ha! Good, good, good!" Doupo laughed, almost unable to contain his excitement. "It truly is a body martial soul. Good boy." He looked at Lin Xiao with new appreciation, wishing he could take him as his disciple on the spot. But as sect master, he kept his composure. The elders watched with satisfied expressions. Long Aochen observed the display with quiet interest. Doupo then looked Lin Xiao in the eye. "Little fellow, my name is Doupo. My spirit is the same as yours. I am the current sect master of the body sect. Will you accept me as your master?" He offered Lin Xiao much face, convinced that with Lin's talent he could restore the body sect's glory. He had once thought highly of Huo Yuhao and had expected miracles. Now another promising talent stood before him. Lin Xiao remained composed. Nothing about this surprised him. "Sect master, before I accept you as my master, there's something I need to tell you." Doupo paused, a little taken aback. He gestured for Lin to speak. "Go on." "Sect master, I already have 2 teachers. I don't know if that would bother you." Lin Xiao then manifested his spirit rings, one purple, one black, rings that exceeded the normal expectations for his age. Doupo's smile never faltered at the sight. These rings only added to his delight. Such a prodigy arriving at his doorstep was cause for celebration. Still, he had done his due diligence before coming and had sent people to investigate Lin Xiao's background. "Little fellow, that's no problem at all," Doupo said. "If you can have 2 teachers, what's the harm in having one more? But tell me, how strong are those 2 teachers of yours?" Doupo was supremely confident in his own strength. He wanted to know what kind of masters could produce someone like Lin Xiao. Lin Xiao measured his words. He wouldn't expose his teachers, but he wanted their reputations known in some fashion. "My 2 teachers gave me instructions. I can't say much, but they told me to tell you a few things." Doupo leaned forward, intrigued. "Speak." Lin Xiao recited calmly, each declaration carrying an almost theatrical air. "My first teacher, with my feet upon the sun and moon, I determine the universe. Between heaven and earth, I alone am supreme. My second teacher, with the sun and moon in hand, I pluck the stars. There is no one like me in this world." His words struck Doupo and the elders with surprise. Such grand, heroic proclamations were new to them. Unseen by the others, the words carried into the spirit ring. Yao Lao, Electrolux, and the Ice Empress heard them clearly. The Ice Empress stared at Yao Lao and Electrolux in astonishment, while Electrolux burst out laughing. "Sk, old Yao," Electrolux called. "So you're a bit of a show-off, too." Chapter 30, Showdown with Long Aoqian, Establishment of a Holy Sun. Venerable Yao's forehead creased with black lines. He hadn't realized people were speaking of him in such glowing terms. Old Yao, no wonder you're called Venerable Yao. Electrolux laughed aloud, amused at how the title was being interpreted. Venerable Yao, embarrassed but pleased, accepted it. Since Xiao Xiaozi had said it, that settled it. Not bad at all. He was clearly satisfied. You're not so bad yourself, playing the part of such a figure, he said lightly. The two of them laughed, and everything that needed to be said passed between them in that laughter. The Ice Empress, who hadn't fully understood, was nonetheless shaken. These two old men were actually this powerful. She had clearly chosen the right side. She stretched out over Little Black's back, lazily content. Life looked pretty good. Outside, Doupo and the others stood frozen by Lin Xiao's words. Kid, are you joking? Doupo forced his shock down and fixed Lin Xiao with a steady look. Lin Xiao nodded. I swear everything I've said is true. Good, I believe you. Doupo was a man of conviction. He did not doubt those he decided to rely on. Disciple Lin Xiao pays his respects to master. Lin Xiao was practical enough to formally acknowledge Doupo as his master. As for kowtowing, apart from Venerable Yao, Lin Xiao did not kneel to anyone. That deferential gesture was reserved solely for Venerable Yao. Ha, Lin Xiao, good boy, Doupo cackled, then motioned, Come, let me introduce you. He led Lin Xiao across the hall, presenting him to a string of elders, Golden Body Douluo Jinpeng, Spirit Douluo Langya, and finally he came to Long Aoqian. Doupo said, This is your senior brother, Long Aoqian, currently rank 48 in soul power. His spirit is the skin, and he has a silver-level second awakening. Lin Xiao nodded. Long Aoqian's strength was unquestionable. Reaching spirit saint level by 20 without shortcuts spoke of immense talent. It was a pity he had come so early to any end. Lin Xiao extended his hand. Eldest senior brother. Long Aoqian smiled and took his hand. Then, looking to Doupo, he asked, Master, may I spar with my junior brother? With a purple first spirit ring and a black second spirit ring, Long Aoqian clearly wanted to test the newcomer. Doupo neither refused nor immediately consented. Instead, he looked to Lin Xiao. Lin Xiao, are you willing? Doupo was curious to see how strong his new disciple had become under those two teachers. Lin Xiao did not decline. Facing the strongest of the body sect's new generation, he wanted to measure the gap himself, especially since the opponent already had a silver-level awakening. Fine, Lin Xiao said. Let's do it here, no need to move. Doupo and several elders set up barriers, cordoning off the main hall. Lin Xiao and Long Aoqian stood opposite one another. Eldest senior brother, please, Lin Xiao invited. Long Aoqian nodded. Spirit rings glimmered beneath his feet. Yellow, purple, black. The skin on his body shifted hue. He was taking the match seriously. Lin Xiao's own spirit rings flared. Purple, black. First spirit ability, Dark Feast, Lin Xiao called. Second spirit ability, Dark Body, he added. Soul power surged through Lin Xiao. His aura spiked as soul power and Du Qi circulated relentlessly. The pressure was tangible. Long Aoqian's body trembled as darkness seemed to press in, magnifying a flicker of fear. But his formidable training steadied him quickly. The fear dissolved. That was close, he muttered. Long Aoqian's own spirit rings lit. His first and third spirit abilities activated, his body swelling and his skin taking on a glossy sheen. Fourth spirit ability, Mad God Slash. His hands became a giant axe. Terrifying soul power erupted from him. He was going all out. Lin Xiao narrowed his brow. Long Aoqian's offensive was indeed powerful. 8 extremities collapse, Lin Xiao roared. Lin Xiao's body unleashed a burst of physical power. He met Long Aoqian's axe with a single palm strike. At the same time, a vast black dragon's roar seemed to merge into him, and his strength leapt again. His physical attributes surged. With a thunderous impact, Long Aoqian's giant axe was shoved back. He staggered, stunned. What had that dragon been? Before he could fully react, another palm slammed into him. Boom! Boom! The two traded blows in rapid succession. Bolstered by his second spirit ability and a current of Du Qi running through him, Lin Xiao held his own. Only Lin Xiao knew that Long An still had reserves. He had not used his silver-level awakening yet. How could a second awakening spirit be weak? But Long Aoqian, for all his strength, had not fully mastered the unity of heaven and man technique yet. If he had, Lin Xiao would not have been able to resist like this. Dubusi watched from the sidelines with satisfaction. Lin Xiao's dark feast didn't block the view of an expert like him. He saw the entire fight clearly. Lin Xiao's combat experience, in particular, was something Long Aochen couldn't match. Good boy, he's truly strong, Dubusi muttered. Rank 23 soul power, and he's nearly suppressing Aochen. The more he watched, the more satisfied Dubusi grew. If Lin Xiao's body martial soul had reached a second awakening now, Dubusi was certain Long Aochen would be no match. Even at rank 48, Long Aochen lagged slightly behind this kid. No wonder Lin Xiao's teachers had been so confident. They really had the strength to back their words. Dubusi grinned inwardly. As this boy's third teacher, he would certainly need a fittingly arrogant title someday. Lin Xiao, meanwhile, fought on equal footing with Long Aochen. The boost from his second spirit ability and the Du Qi in his system left him with nothing to fear. Long Aochen, pushed back by a decisive palm from Lin Xiao, signaled that he would stop. I yield, he admitted. Senior brother, you haven't used your silver level awakening yet, have you? It gives a 100% boost. If you had, I would be the one yielding, Lin Xiao said as he retracted his hand. He knew Long Aochen had been holding back. Long Aochen smiled. It's enough, junior brother. You are very strong. Your combat experience surpasses mine. Junior brother, may I ask how old you are? He added. A junior brother with such strength should be a crushing presence among his peers. Lin Xiao relaxed his spirit and disclosed, I'll be 7 in 3 months. What? You've had your spirit awakened for less than a year? Long Aochen was stunned. He was truly impressed. At Lin Xiao's age, Long Aochen himself could not have matched him. Dubusi was even happier. There was a real successor here. Aochen, Dubusi said, voice ringing through the hall. I was worried about my decision before. Now I see. Regardless of your opinion, I will name Lin Xiao the Holy Sun. Before Lin Xiao arrived, Long Aochen had been the obvious successor. Now everything had changed. But Long Aochen bore no resentment. He might have Aochen in his name and cause for pride, but he was not truly arrogant. He accepted the outcome with a calm, almost generous smile. Chapter 31, The Secret of the True Body. Long Aochen looked at Lin Xiao and noticed the boy hadn't used his silver level awakening. Even if he had, Long Aochen had a premonition he might not be able to suppress him. Lin Xiao was hiding his strength. At not even 7 years old, his talent already surpassed Long Aochen's. Still, Long Aochen was convinced the title of the body sect's Holy Sun rightfully belonged to him. It was the first time the other boy had appeared at the body sect, but as long as Lin Xiao did no harm, Long Aochen didn't much care whether the title went to him or not. Teacher, I have no objections. I acknowledge my junior brother's strength, Long Aochen said with a smile. Since the honor wasn't his, he might as well be magnanimous and avoid looking petty. Dubusi laughed heartily. This was precisely the spirit he wanted in the body sect, brotherly respect and unity. He was no longer worried. Lin Xiao, I'll announce you as the Holy Sun later. You should make an appearance then. Dubusi patted Lin Xiao's shoulder, pleased with the boy's physique. With such talent, there was hope for the body sect's future. Lin Xiao smiled faintly. Teacher, I'm still too weak now. If I make a big show of it, I worry it could be dangerous for me. There's no rush about the Holy Sun title. If you prefer, we'll wait until you can protect yourself before announcing it, he suggested. Assassinations were common. He couldn't afford to draw attention prematurely. This was not the Douluo Continent of 10,000 years ago. Things were more dangerous now. Dubusi thought for a moment and agreed. All right, we won't mention the Holy Sun matter for now. Focus on your cultivation. Lin Xiao was the body sect's greatest hope. Dubusi didn't want anything to happen to him. The boy's proposal made sense. So long as he remained within the sect, everything else could wait. Several elders nodded in agreement. Lin Xiao's innate ability, his strength, and his temperament all impressed them. They became even more convinced that the two absent teachers behind Lin Xiao must be formidable. Without them, he would not be where he was. Dubusi then produced a sealed manual and handed it to Lin Xiao. Lin Xiao, this is the secret of the body. It will guide your spirit through a second awakening. Take it and study it first. Come find me when you're ready to awaken. Dubusi believed that with his guidance, Lin Xiao's second awakening would definitely reach silver level, and with time, it would inevitably reach golden level. Follow the manual steps, and there should be no problems. Lin Xiao accepted the manual. Thank you, teacher. Teacher, can a body martial soul reach golden level in its second awakening? He asked seriously. The question made Dubuzi and the others laugh. Let me put it this way. It's very difficult, Dubuzi said. For you, silver level is already more than enough. The golden level is powerful, but the price to use it is considerable. When you break through to the title Douluo, you can undergo a third awakening to reach golden level. He did not speak in absolutes. In cases of exceptional talent, a body martial soul might attain golden level at the time of becoming a titled Douluo. The silver level could double a spirit master's combat power. The golden level could increase it by 1 to 3 times. The boost was massive, but the golden level awakening was also the rarest and most terrifying. In the body sect, perhaps only Dubuzi himself currently had a golden level awakening. Lin Xiao listened thoughtfully. He would not pass up a chance to grow stronger. He wondered, though, whether showing the manual to old Yao and old Yi might make a direct golden level awakening possible. He was unsure, and he didn't know what price such a breakthrough would demand. He vaguely remembered that using a golden level awakened spirit could require sacrificing one's life force, maybe even the spirit master's origin. He wasn't certain. Teacher, is the price for using the golden level really one's life? Lin Xiao asked softly. It's something like that, Dubuzi replied. Using it can sometimes harm a spirit master's origin. It's very strong, but the drawbacks are obvious. For now, silver level is sufficient for you. Dubuzi patted him on the shoulder, as if cautioning him not to reach too far too soon. Lin Xiao nodded. The cost, vitality, and a spirit master's origin was indeed too high. Both were vital. Dubuzi smiled with satisfaction. Lin Xiao's curiosity and carefulness pleased him. Little fellow, now's not the time for such considerations. Build a solid foundation first. Cultivate well. Thank you, teacher, Lin Xiao said sincerely. Even before anything official had been declared, Dubuzi handing him the secret of the body showed how much he valued him. If Lin Xiao had intended harm, Dubuzi could have struck and killed him. Giving away the manual was a bold move and a statement of trust. After the meeting, Long Yaoqin led Lin Xiao to his new residence. The building was large, more like a small palace. Junior brother, this will be your residence from now on, Long Yaoqin said with a smile. Mine is over there. If you need anything, come find me. If you don't understand anything in the secret of the body, you can ask me. I'm really looking forward to your second awakening. Don't hold back when the time comes, Lin Xiao replied. Haha, don't worry. I won't be like I was today, Long Yaoqin answered with a faint smile. After they parted, Lin Xiao opened the door and stepped inside. He spoke quietly toward the jade ring at his finger. Teacher, is anyone watching? Rest assured, Xiao Xiaozi, that Douhuang is decent enough. Old Yao's voice came from the ring. Lin Xiao nodded and took out a small piece of living gold. Teacher, give this living gold to old Yi for his recovery. The living gold sank into the ring. As soon as it appeared, old Yi in the ring grew excited. Living gold, Xiao Xiaozi, you're really something. How do you use this? Will you take care of it yourself? Old Yao sensed the massive vitality within the living gold. It was a rare item. It wasn't especially helpful for his own condition just now, but it would greatly benefit old Yi. Old Yao, I don't need that much, Lin Xiao said. Have Xiao Xiaozi get ready. I'll expand his Sea of Spirit for him shortly. If it were a bit larger, I could expand Xiao Xiaozi's Sea of Spirit by more than 3 times. Before old Yao could reply, Lin Xiao continued, Old Yi, use it for your recovery first. Since it can't expand much, you take it all. I also know another place that has living gold. We'll expand it further together next time. Chapter 32. Do you want to break through to rank 99? Opening a Sea of Spirit would be a major step, but Lin Xiao decided it was better to wait unless he could open it fully. A partial opening could be more trouble than it was worth. He wasn't in a hurry. His priority was Electrolux. If he could get the creature back to full strength, maybe that mysterious item would appear. With that in hand, he would have another trump card. Good lad, Electrolux said quietly as he recovered. Once I'm fully restored, I'll have a surprise for you. Electrolux hadn't expected Lin Xiao to be so generous. The small chunk of living gold Lin Xiao had given him wasn't huge, but it mattered. He could have kept it for himself, but he'd resolved to repay Lin Xiao for his help by assisting with the Sea of Spirit. Now, being given the gold outright caught him off guard, and relieved him when he realized Lin Xiao might know where more living gold could be found. "All right, Elder Yi," Electrolux added, "you should recover first." Lin Xiao smiled but didn't show surprise. Inside the ring, Electrolux wasted no ceremony. He took the living gold Yao Lao had thrown to him and began absorbing it at once. After that was done, Lin Xiao spoke up. "Teacher, please take a look at this secret of the body. Can it directly trigger a gold-level awakening for my body martial soul?" Yao Lao emerged from the ring with the Ice Emperor and Xiao He, took the manual Lin Xiao handed over, and examined it closely. The technique had merit, but it wasn't flawless. Lin Xiao waited quietly. He knew a gold-level awakening could change everything, and he didn't want to miss the chance. If he was going to do it, he wanted to do it properly, even if it required a price. Yao Lao frowned in thought for a long moment. "Xiao Xiaozi, this secret technique is actually pretty decent," he said at last. "It will be hard to fully rewrite this technique in a short time, but given some time, I can refine it." He continued, "Paired with the right medicinal pills, I can minimize the cost of using this gold-level awakening. At worst, it will leave you weakened for some time. And as for guaranteeing the awakening itself, I can make sure it succeeds, provided we use pills in conjunction." Yao Lao hadn't started rewriting the technique yet. Instead, he focused on reducing the cost. For a secret technique that could boost one's strength, that was already impressive. Lin Xiao's spirits soared. Compared to the Heavenly Flame's 3 mysterious transformations in Battle Through the Heavens, whose cost was far worse, what Yao Lao proposed was practically miraculous. Yao Lao's specialty was alchemy, after all. "But there's no rush," Yao Lao added. "Once Electrolux recovers, the two of us can work together and improve this technique further." Lin Xiao was more than satisfied. He'd assumed pills were the limit of Yao Lao's help, but now he saw his teacher still had more to offer. "Teacher, you're incredible," he blurted. Yao Lao smiled faintly. Hey, Xiao Xiaozi, once you reach my level, you'll be able to do it too." He took the Ice Emperor and Xiao He back into the ring. Electrolux kept recovering, while Yao Lao began studying the secret of the body in detail. Lin Xiao flipped through the remaining pages he'd been given and quickly understood the core. The technique forced an extreme awakening in the practitioner, a comprehension of the boundary between life and death. It was simple to grasp in concept. It required risking one's life. On the other side of the courtyard, Doupo had finished his background check on Lin Xiao. He'd traced Lin Xiao's ancestry back 18 generations and found nothing problematic. He was satisfied. Long Aochen watched him, trying to read his expression, unsure whether Doupo was pleased or annoyed. "He's fine," Doupo said with a smile. "You could say his lineage is clean for 18 generations." Long Aochen relaxed. He'd worried that Lin Xiao might have some hidden problem. It turned out Doupo's caution had been about Lin Xiao's other 2 teachers. Those 2 sounded so impressive that Doupo had been suspicious. Long Aochen couldn't help grinning at the thought. Go, call your junior brother over," Doupo told him. "If you've got nothing better to do, go see Vina," Doupo added when he caught the teasing look in Long Aochen's eyes and dismissed him. "Yes, teacher." Long Aochen laughed and hurried off. He hadn't expected Doupo to have such worries. Soon Long Aochen brought Lin Xiao over and then went off to find Vina. Doupo welcomed Lin Xiao warmly. "Lin Xiao, come, sit here." Lin Xiao felt a bit overwhelmed by the favor and took the seat Doupo indicated. Before Doupo could speak, Lin Xiao asked, "Teacher, do you want to break through to rank 99? The question made Doupo start. He stared at Lin Xiao for a long moment. Finally, incredulous, he said, "Lin Xiao, do you know what you're asking?" Lin Xiao nodded seriously. He knew exactly what he meant. When Yao Lao had mentioned that pills could aid a gold-level awakening, Lin Xiao had thought of that place full of opportunities. To go there and make the most of it, immense strength was necessary. Doupo was the perfect candidate. There were things there that could push someone to rank 99 and maybe beyond. If Doupo could get there, he might even have a chance against Muen. Debussy still didn't believe Lin Xiao would suggest such a thing on his own, and assumed the two mysterious teachers must have said it. Lin Xiao followed his lead and answered, "Yes, teacher." Debussy sank back into his seat, brow furrowing. He couldn't fathom what ability the other party had that could help him reach rank 99. Were Lin Xiao's teachers rank 99 powerhouses themselves, or even stronger? If they were, Debussy should have heard of them. He turned the problem over in his mind. He'd struggled for so long to find a way to break through to rank 99, yet this boy claimed his teachers could make it happen. It confused him. If they were truly so powerful, why send Lin Xiao to the body sect? Debussy asked bluntly, "Lin Xiao, why did your two teachers send you here if they're so strong?" Lin Xiao hesitated, not expecting the question. Then he answered simply, "Teacher, I want to awaken my body martial soul." Debussy laughed aloud, an arrogant, confident laugh. So the great teachers hadn't known everything after all. Lin Xiao silently bristled at the smug pride in Debussy's laugh. This damned competitive spirit. Chapter 33, The Danger of the Ice and Fire, Yin-Yang. Well, Lin Xiao didn't understand what Debussy was laughing about. He cocked his head and asked, puzzled, "Teacher, is my answer funny?" Debussy cleared his throat. Ahem. Lin Xiao, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing because I'm pleased. I'm glad you told me everything without hiding anything. Even as Debussy said it, Lin Xiao felt something off. The words rang faintly insincere. He had no proof, but the smile in Debussy's eyes hinted at concealed amusement. Lin Xiao couldn't guess what was going through the elder's mind. If he did, he might have to warn him about how powerful Yao Lao really was. Lin Xiao nodded. "Teacher, I want to awaken my body martial soul. Since my spirit attribute is a body type, that means it belongs to the body sect." Debussy nodded with obvious satisfaction. "That's right. All body martial souls should belong to my body sect." Lin Xiao didn't agree with that sweeping claim. Not every body-type spirit would naturally belong to one sect, but he kept silent. Customs and institutions took ages to change. The body sect's pride might yet be its undoing, though he suspected Debussy was finally beginning to see the need for reform. He didn't press the issue. "All right, tell me, what did your teacher say? How can I break through to rank 99? Debussy asked. Lin Xiao recited what he'd learned. There are 3 ways. 1. Condense another spirit core. 2. Find immortal plants. 3. Use medicinal pills. He knew other possibilities, for instance, switching to Duqi, but that route took too long to be practical. The 3 he listed were the most feasible options at the moment. Debussy grimaced. A second spirit core. That's extremely hard. Yes, Lin Xiao agreed. It's difficult, but there might be a way. Debussy blinked at his sudden bright expression. What do you mean? Lin Xiao scratched his head and smiled sheepishly. Never mind. I just figured out which path to take. I know what I'll do. Debussy, still suspicious, warned gently. If there's anything you don't understand, tell me. The road ahead is long. Don't rush like trying to force shoots to grow overnight. Lin Xiao bowed in gratitude. Thank you, teacher. I won't rush. Debussy relaxed and pressed for details. The spirit core method seems unlikely. What about the immortal plants? And the pills? What kind of medicine could help? It might work, Lin Xiao said cautiously. My teacher's attribute is poison. If we can find a place where poison is concentrated enough, perhaps that poison source could be used to condense a spirit core. Debussy considered this. A yin-yang dual spirit core, has DTN condensed one like that? It would be rare. I'm not sure, Lin Xiao admitted. It would be an experiment at best. So keep that as an option, Debussy said. But tell me more about the immortal plants and the pills. Immortal plants are excellent, Lin Xiao replied. Even 100,000-year immortal plant can alter aptitude. If you can consume one, you'd almost certainly break through. But the place where they grow is dangerous, deadly perhaps. I don't recommend you go there, teacher. As for pills, there aren't any available right now. Lin Xiao hesitated, then continued. The ice and fire yin-yang well has a lot of 100,000-year immortal plants. My other 2 teachers know where the poison source is, and the plants are there too. It's risky. Even I wouldn't advise you to go unless we could be sure it's safe, he said. But the poison source could be borrowed to condense a spirit core. Debussy's brows twitched. What's so dangerous that even your other teachers wouldn't go? Lin Xiao's face grew serious. According to my teacher, there are 100,000-year spirit beasts in that place. Those beasts were born from the immortal plants. There may also be a divine sense present. I don't know for sure whether the divine sense is there, he added. But the most dangerous thing would be the divine sense. Dubuzi's expression changed. Of course, the place was already claimed by Xiaoling. If Xiaoling had left a divine sense behind to guard his domain, that would explain why even other masters had stayed away. So you suggest we use the poison source and try to condense a spirit core? Dubuzi asked, having reached a decision. Given the risks of harvesting immortal plants and the absence of medicinal pills, the spirit core method seemed the safest option. Yes, Lin Xiao said. Yao Lao could probably handle Xiaoling's divine sense, but he might fall into a deep sleep afterward. If there were no danger, he would have gone long ago. He muttered, Xiaoling, damn you, you really deserve to die. Dubuzi hesitated. To be honest, I'm not confident about using that poison source to condense another spirit core. He had been stuck at rank 98 for years. He wasn't the reckless youth he once was. There were too many things to consider now. Yao Lao's voice slipped into Lin Xiao's mind like a dry chuckle. Xiao Xiaozi, if I make a move, what chance do you think we'd have? Lin Xiao answered immediately in his mind. It's too dangerous, teacher. And if you act, you might fall into a deep sleep. Yao Lao's reply was relaxed. A deep sleep is not death. Besides, it's not like I can't recover, right? His tone carried an odd mix of bravado and casual reassurance, as if the risk hardly mattered at all. Chapter 34. Capturing Tang San's divine sense? Yao Lao clearly knew how valuable the immortal plant would be. Otherwise, Lin Xiao wouldn't have brought it up. The immortal plant wasn't only useful now, but promised long-term benefits. Lin Xiao could tell Yao Lao had already made up his mind, but he pressed on anyway. Teacher, if you possessed Teacher Du, could you show your full strength? Lin Xiao asked. If Yao Lao could possess others, maybe possessing Dubuzi would let him unleash more power. No, Yao Lao shook his head. Dubuzi is already at Dohuang level, and his soul power isn't weak. If I possessed him, it wouldn't just hurt me, it would harm him as well. Yao Lao refused the idea. Lin Xiao froze. No, he couldn't let his teacher act recklessly. If the immortal plant was lost, that could be accepted, but nothing could happen to Yao Lao. Lin Xiao knew how to prioritize. Xiao Xiaozi, let old Yao act. Electrolux's voice rang out, sounding vigorous. Clearly he was close to recovery. If you find another piece of living gold, I can keep old Yao conscious so he won't fall into a slumber. Lin Xiao's mind started racing. If Yao Lao could be prevented from slipping into a slumber with living gold, and they still had the immortal plant, Yao Lao could both teach Lin Xiao alchemy and absorb the plant to recover. It sounded feasible. Teacher, is that possible? Lin Xiao asked. It's feasible, Yao Lao said after thinking. Living gold won't restore me fully, but it can keep me from falling asleep. Then, teacher, can we capture that divine sense? Lin Xiao grew bolder. If they could capture that wisp of divine sense, things would get interesting. You brat, that's a good idea. We'll have to see how strong that divine sense is, Yao Lao chuckled. If it's not that strong, we can capture it. Lin Xiao smiled. He was even more ruthless than Yao Lao. God King Xiaoling's divine sense shouldn't be overwhelmingly strong. A Do Huang was already a rank 98 titled Douluo. Yao Lao had been a Do Zun. Even if it was only soul force equal to a Do Zong, Yao Lao should be able to capture it by going all out. If that's the case, we can't let Dubuzi use the poison source to break through to rank 99, Electrolux said quickly. He was more ruthless than Yao Lao and didn't want Dubuzi to gain that advantage. You'll need to run fast when the time comes. Have Dubuzi take you and run, Yao Lao added, starting to arrange their plan. Lin Xiao nodded. Even without the poison source, they still had the immortal plant. Teacher, I know what to do. Yao Lao fell silent, and Dubuzi grew quiet as well. Lin Xiao looked at Dubuzi and said, Teacher, there's an even better way. Dubuzi's eyes lit up. How could Lin Xiao figure it out so quickly? Lin Xiao, what do you mean? He asked. Teacher, this time let's play big. Are you willing? Lin Xiao's grin was mischievous. Dubuzi blinked, then guessed, You don't want me to fight that divine sense yourself, do you? He overestimated Dubuzi. Although strong, Dubuzi wasn't necessarily capable of confronting a divine sense. Seeing Dubusi's slightly sheepish expression, Lin Xiao laughed. It's not that serious. When the time comes, you just need to run. Run with everything you've got. Run? Dubusi was startled, then realized. Your teacher is going to act? Pretty much. We just need to run when the time comes. Lin Xiao nodded. Dubusi didn't hesitate. All right, I'll do it. I want to see just how strong your teacher really is. He'd been curious about Lin Xiao's teacher for a long time. This was an opportunity he couldn't pass up. Besides, it was only running. If he couldn't even escape, then his rank 98 cultivation would have been for nothing. When do we leave? He asked, eager to go now. Let's wait a few more days, Lin Xiao suggested with a smile. Fine, Dubusi laughed. Lin Xiao really was the lucky star of the body sect. After they finalized a few details, Lin Xiao returned to his room. Teacher, how is Elder Yi? He asked as soon as he entered. In 3 days. He'll recover in 3 days, Yao Lao answered. Lin Xiao nodded. That was fast. Electrolux should be in a similar state. Xiao Xiaozi, old Yao taught me a cultivation technique, Electrolux said with a laugh. When you come back from that place, I'll give you a world plane. Boast all you want. I'm listening, Yao Lao scoffed. A whole world, really? Yao Lao didn't believe it. What kind of world could be given away? If he could create a world, would he have ended up like this? Shh, old Yao, I might not be as strong as you, but I have other strengths, Electrolux said smugly, unbothered. Lin Xiao believed him, but hadn't seen the undead semiplane and didn't know what it was like. The Ice Empress listened seriously, and as always, clung to the strong. 3 days passed quickly. Lin Xiao grew familiar with the body sect. Dubusi kept dropping in to ask when they would leave, and was repeatedly sent away. Inside the ring, Electrolux's gray light sphere dissipated. A figure descended beside Yao Lao, young, white-haired, every gesture noble, radiating a powerful aura. Yao Lao waved carelessly and said, From now on, call me Brother Chen. Electrolux was speechless at the old man's antics. The Ice Empress, sitting on Xiaohe, couldn't help but exclaim, Elder Yi, you're so handsome. Yao Lao looked immortal. Electrolux was extraordinarily handsome. The Ice Empress's words pleased Electrolux, who bent to rub her small head. Xiao Xiaozi, we can go to that place now, Electrolux told Lin Xiao outside the ring. Electrolux's voice brought a smile to Lin Xiao's face. He had been waiting a long time. Dubusi was probably getting impatient by now as well. The moment Electrolux finished speaking, Lin Xiao hurried toward the palace where Dubusi stayed. Before Lin Xiao could step through the door, Dubusi burst out. Xiao Xiao, are we going there now? Dubusi's eyes shone with excitement. He could barely contain himself, dragging Lin Xiao toward the sunset forest the instant he spoke. Lin Xiao smiled and nodded. He knew Dubusi wanted this badly, but he hadn't expected such eagerness. Ha ha ha, let's go. I already bought a map. Dubusi produced a map of the sunset forest and handed it over. Lin Xiao shook his head. That map won't help. We'll have to find it ourselves. If it could be found on a map, it would have been discovered long ago. Dubusi's smile faded into an awkward chuckle. Indeed, the place was hidden and warded. It was strange anyone would know of it. In truth, the area was currently within Shaoling's forbidden zone, very difficult for outsiders to find. Lin Xiao's thoughts turned bitter. That despicable fellow's methods were vile. It clearly belonged to Doupo, yet in the end, he didn't give the other party a single benefit. Shaoling might have protested, wasn't detoxifying him a favor? But that was precisely why Shaoling's divine sense could still exist in the ice and fire yin-yang. Well, and why Lin Xiao remained worried. Let's go, Dubusi urged. He scooped Lin Xiao up with one hand, soul power flowing around him. With a swoosh, they took off. The Heavenly Soul Empire had split from the old Heaven Do Empire, and the Sunset Forest still lay within its borders, though the forest had long since declined. Compared to places like the Stardo Great Forest, the far north, or the Evil Spirit Forest, it was far inferior now. That very decline made the ice and fire yin-yang well unusually safe. Otherwise, the 100,000-year immortal plants that grew there could never have survived. In half a day, Dubusi's power carried them to the edge of the Sunset Forest. Xiao Xiao, I sense no threat here, Dubusi reported as soon as they landed, extending his mental energy to probe. To his eyes, the area seemed almost worthless. Lin Xiao understood. Even 10,000 years ago, the Sunset Forest had never been as dangerous as the Star Do Great Forest. Now, after its decline, it was even safer. Exactly because it's so desolate, the place can be trusted, Lin Xiao said calmly. Let's go. You said it's surrounded by a poisonous source, right? Dubuzi nodded and led the way. Basically, teacher, can you sense that poison from the toxins in your body? Dubuzi's spirit attribute was poison, so he might be expected to detect it. He shook his head. I'm not that powerful. Not yet. If he could sense it from afar, he would have found the place already. They pressed deeper into the forest. As they walked, Dubuzi's premonition began to thrum, danger, distant and enormous, like a pulse. Xiao Xiao, I feel a great terror, he said, voice turning grave. The outward desolation of the Sunset Forest hid something terrifying beneath it, and Dubuzi was finally feeling that truth. Lin Xiao agreed silently. That place teemed with 100,000-year spirit beasts. Of course, it was formidable. Guided by Dubuzi's intuition, it took them 3 days to locate the exact spot. Poisonous mist choked the surroundings. The air itself tasted of venom. Spirit beast carcasses littered the ground, some half-eaten, as if something monstrous had been feeding among them. Dubuzi reached out and touched the mist. Immediately, a torrent of toxins surged into him. He shuddered, then refined the poisons with practiced ease. Xiao Xiao, with enough time I might condense another soul core here, he said after a moment, but his tone was cautious. I can't guarantee it. The toxins grew more potent the deeper they went. Lin Xiao didn't need to touch the mist. The poison was ferocious, but it feared cold. Ultimate ice was its natural enemy. That gave him confidence. There was something else, a faint divine sense buried here, dormant. Lin Xiao felt Yao Lao's voice in his mind. There's a divine presence, but it's still sleeping, not as strong as I expected. If I move suddenly, it will wake. I'm worried the original body might react, Yao Lao added, cautious despite sensing the wisp of divinity. The divine realm was supposedly hands-off with the Douluo Continent, but Lin Xiao had no illusions about God King Tongsan's hypocrisy. He had meddled far more than he admitted. Yao Lao didn't want to take unnecessary risks. To be safe, I'll strike with full power, Yao Lao said finally. Xiao Xiao, have Dubuzi get ready. Lin Xiao nodded and turned to Dubuzi. We need to be prepared. When your teacher acts, that divine sense will be triggered. Dubuzi adopted a solemn stance, bracing himself. He too was curious to see how Yao Lao would strike. Lin Xiao knew that if Xiaoling's divine sense were disturbed, the Xiaoling in the divine realm would be furious. Repercussions could be severe. The chain of potential fallout was worrying. The two licking beasts of the Clear Sky sect, Yin inside the golden ancient tree, Tang Hao preparing to devour the plain consciousness, the presence on Sea God Island, and Shrek. Weighing it out, the smallest immediate risks seemed to fall on Shrek, Yin, and Tang Hao, each for their own reasons. How the Clear Sky sect and Sea God Island would respond remained to be seen. Dubuzi nodded to Lin Xiao. They exchanged a look of equal parts excitement and caution. Lin Xiao sent one short message to Yao Lao. You may start. Inside the ring, Electrolux smirked at Yao Lao. Old Yao, don't mess this up. Yao Lao rolled his eyes at the man's tone. Since his recovery, he had been spending a lot of time with the Ice Empress. He didn't know whether Electrolux had some strange inclination. Then, white mist swirled up, and an elder with an immortal aura appeared above the poisonous fog. The instant Yao Lao manifested, a terrifying pressure burst forth from the ice and fire yin-yang well. Who's there? Came a startled cry from within the well. A cold sneer crossed Yao Lao's face. Chapter 36, Suppression, Tangsan's Wrath, Destruction and Disruption. Dubuzi stared hard at Yao Lao. Strong, so strong. He swallowed and grabbed Lin Xiao's hand. Yao Lao's face turned cold. Pale white flames gathered in his palm, mingling with a golden glow. Two figures manifested in the sky above the ice and fire yin-yang well. Yao Lao was no fool. The moment the opponent's presence showed, he struck. A violent surge of soul power blasted outward, its pressure clearly overwhelming Xiaoling's. The strand of divine sense that had been watching tensed and raised a hand to defend itself, but Yao Lao attacked at full strength. A mere thread of divine sense could not hold against that force. Who exactly are you? It demanded. You dare lay a hand on me? You're asking for death. The divine sense roared. Yao Lao remained silent and relentless. His soul power, laced with the bone-chilling flame, began to erode Xiaoling's divine sense bit by bit. The bone-chilling flame had an innate suppressive effect against souls, and Xiaoling's divine sense immediately felt its power. Alarmed, it finally cried out, "Damn you! You truly deserve to die." "Who are you?" It screamed again, but its tone wavered. What shocked Dubuzi and Lin Xiao was the scene that followed. The divine sense of God King Xiaoling, which had been fierce and haughty, suddenly went almost to its knees before Yao Lao. "I was wrong, Senior. Please spare me. My true body is a God King. If you let me go, I guarantee your ascent to the divine realm. Even those two below you can enter the divine realm. Please." The pleading was humiliating to watch. Yao Lao, however, was not taken in. Dubuzi and Lin Xiao watched with expressions of disgust. The divine sense's begging was pitiful. Enraged, the God King's divine sense erupted again. "Even if I die, I'll take you with me." It poured its remaining might into one desperate attack. Yao Lao casually raised his hand and struck down with full force. "Suppress," he declared. The two forces collided above the well, a thunderous clash that sent a wave of pressure sweeping the area. A crushing heavenly force descended. Xiaoling's divine sense was forced to its knees with a heavy thud. Its desperate counterattack had been impressive, but it could not compete with Yao Lao at full strength. Scorched by the bone-chilling flame and cut off from its true body, it could not summon even the faintest resistance. Yao Lao's gaze swept over the trembling immortal plants below. With a light wave, he dispersed the divine sense and vanished. Before he left, he called out one word: "Go!" The command hit Dubuzi like a thunderclap. Instinct took over. His level 98 soul power surged. He grabbed Lin Xiao and, driven by that surge, rushed away with a whoosh. The whole clash had taken less than a minute. In the Douluo divine realm, God King Xiaoling lay comfortably in Xiao Wu's arms, his sword sheathed. The sudden disappearance of that strand of divine sense jolted his body, and he sprang up. "Sange, what happened?" Xiao Wu asked sleepily, rubbing her eyes. Xiaoling's brow knit. "Xiao Wu, something happened to a strand of my divine sense. I have to check it." As he left, his expression hardened into fury, as if a calm mask had shattered. "How dare someone ruin my 10,000-year plan? Dare to touch my divine sense? I'll make them wish they were dead." He stormed toward the God Realm central hub, not even noticing when he crossed paths with the God King of Destruction. Curious, Destruction followed, wanting to see what Xiaoling would do. At the central hub, Xiaoling prepared to inspect the ice and fire yin-yang well, but when he looked up, he saw Destruction waiting. "Xiaoling, what are you planning?" the God King of Destruction asked coolly, without a trace of courtesy. Xiaoling's heart tightened. He cursed Destruction inwardly. Why is that guy always everywhere? But outwardly forced a smile. "Destruction, Xiaoqi has gone to the lower realm. Xiao Wu was asking about him, so I came to check." "If that's the case, let me take a look too. I haven't seen Xiaoqi in a long time," Destruction said, casually joining him. Xiaoling hated every moment of it, but he had to pretend calm. "Then let's look together." The two gods watched the scene below. Inside, Xiaoling seethed, cursing Destruction and wishing he would leave. Finally, Destruction said, "Since Xiaoqi is fine, let's go. Evil is on duty today. He should be here soon." Xiaoling forced another smile. "Let's go." As soon as they left, Xiaoling slipped away under the pretense of an errand and returned to his sea god temple. Once back on his own ground, he contacted his two brothers-in-law in the lower realm. The delay caused by Destruction had rattled him. He didn't know if anything more had changed. The ice and fire yin-yang well was a crucial part of his plan. Without it, he could not control the Child of Fortune, and his father could not devour the plain consciousness. Who had the temerity to touch his divine sense? The Douluo Continent was supposed to be under his command, yet a variable had appeared. If it weren't inconvenient for him to act personally, the offender would have been dead countless times over. Rage burned in him. On the Douluo Continent, inside the Clear Sky sect, Deming and Erming felt the tremor the moment Xiaoling's message arrived. They hurried to the secret location together. "Xiaoling, is something wrong with Sister Xiao Wu?" Daming asked first. The mention of Xiao Wu displeased Xiaoling. Xiao Wu belonged to him, and if not for her, those two brutes might not even be alive. Still, he kept up appearances. "Xiao Wu is fine," Xiaoling said smoothly. Deming, Erming, don't worry. But the opportunity I left for Wutong has been stolen, and a strand of my divine sense is gone. I want you two to go and find out what happened." He was lying. There was no such thing as an opportunity for Wutong, but Deming and Erming were not the sharpest, and they swallowed the bait. "What?" Erming exploded. "Xiaoling, where is it? We'll go investigate right now. Who dared steal Wutong's chance? They deserve to die." Xiaoling laughed inwardly at how easily they were manipulated. He gave them the coordinates of the ice and fire yin-yang well. As expected, the two spirit beasts left at once. "Don't let me find out who did this," Xiaoling said, his expression dark and poisonous. "If I do, I'll flay you alive and pull out your tendons." His face twisted into a venomous smile as he imagined the punishment he would mete out to the culprit. Chapter 37. The Undead Demiplane God King. Xiaoling sat anxiously within his divine palace. Far away, the true culprits, Lin Xiao and Doupo, had already poured all their strength into fleeing the area around the ice and fire yin-yang well. Now almost nothing of the well remained except for the lake. Old Yao had acted quickly, sweeping up everything visible that could be carried off. Back at the body sect, the two who had made it back glanced at one another and couldn't help laughing. A faint black aura kept seeping from the ring on Lin Xiao's finger, wrapping around Doupo as if trying to wash the aura from his body. Xiao, what is that black aura?" Doupo asked. "It's been with us since we left the Sunset Forest," Lin Xiao replied. Doupo had sensed it before, but believing it harmless, hadn't paid it much mind. Lin Xiao explained, "It's a technique from my other teacher. He's using his power to help cleanse our auras. He was worried someone might track us." Doupo nodded in understanding. Of course, a powerhouse would be so meticulous. No wonder he had nothing to fear now. "To be safe," Lin Xiao continued, "we should stay quietly here in the body sect for a few months." Xiaoling's forces were likely scouring the outside world. Going out now would only invite trouble. Doupo agreed. "Naturally, your teacher isn't that foolish. But there are still things to handle," Doupo added, referring to practical matters. "Is there anything your teacher needs me to do?" His battle with that divine sense seemed easy, but I don't imagine it was. "If there's a need, just tell me," Doupo said, genuinely concerned about old Yao's condition. He wanted to trade techniques. Someone that powerful could surely help him. Lin Xiao didn't beat around the bush. "There is one thing I need." "A ranked engraving knife?" Doupo blinked. "You're not becoming a soul engineer too, are you? We don't rely on spirit tools in the body sect." "True strength comes from within," Doupo said proudly, looking down on spirit tools. Lin Xiao shook his head. "No, teacher. This ranked engraving knife is special and will be useful to my teacher." Doupo understood and agreed. "All right, what's the name of it? I'll have Jin Peng buy it." "The one ranked 99th, Devouring Spirit." At that name, Doupo's expression shifted, but thinking of how strong Lin Xiao's teacher was, he relaxed. Ordinary people might not handle it, but someone like that could. "Fine. Once it's bought, I'll have it delivered." He added, "I'm going into seclusion for a while. When I come out, it'll be time for you to break to level 99. At the mention of level 99, Doupo's face flushed with anticipation. He had wanted it for a long time. "Good. Go then. I'll make sure no one disturbs you." After Doupo finished speaking, Lin Xiao left and headed to his room alone. No sooner had he entered than a figure materialized beside him, carrying a young girl in his arms. It was Electrolux. The child was the Ice Empress. "Elder Yi, how is teacher?" Lin Xiao asked, anxious. There had been no message since old Yao had entered the ring. "Don't worry, Brother Chen is in a deep sleep. He's fine," Electrolux answered calmly. Relief washed over Lin Xiao. Hearing Electrolux call old Yao Brother Chen surprised him. He hadn't expected old Yao to have already won Electrolux over so completely. "Lin Xiao, take me as your master." Electrolux's voice was gentle. "A simple bow will do. No need for kowtowing," he added, smiling at Lin Xiao's nervousness. Electrolux floated there with an upright, refined bearing. Every movement bespoke nobility. Although Lin Xiao had already called him teacher, no formal apprenticeship had been made. Now Electrolux made the offer official. Lin Xiao swept aside the dust and knelt. "Master above, please accept your disciple's bow." Electrolux's smile grew warmer. No wonder old Yao liked this kid. "Xiao Zi, that's enough. Come, I'll take you to a good place." With a wave of his hand, Electrolux opened a spatial gate and drew Lin Xiao through. As the three of them stepped inside, a sinister, chilling aura struck them. Lin Xiao shuddered and instinctively summoned the bone spirit child, the fire spirit, which appeared in his right hand. The presence steadied him. "This is the void. This is darkness," Electrolux said. "It's a world I created, though it's not yet complete. Only the undead exist here. If others are brought in, they cannot escape. They will be assimilated and perish. I don't even know how much time has passed here, nor how strong the creatures within are." A faint golden light flowed from Electrolux. Wherever it passed, the undead fell back. They moved forward slowly through that silent void, like meteors streaking through a dark sky. Lin Xiao's heart raced. "Are you satisfied with this gift?" Electrolux asked. "Teacher, I don't know how to thank you," Lin Xiao said. Old Yao had given him cultivation methods. Electrolux had given him a refuge. Doupo provided him a backing in this world. Each teacher offered something different and invaluable. "Heh, Xiaozi, everything here will need managing by you," Electrolux said. "Whether this place can become a new world depends on you and your efforts to complete it. I will teach you necromancy, and Brother Chen and I will help you perfect it." They walked on and soon reached a throne. Lin Xiao's excitement swelled. If he could cultivate and manage his own plane, could he one day swallow the Douluo divine realm? Devouring other worlds was the fastest way to recover power. "Teacher, can I bring in the souls of people and spirit beasts I kill?" Lin Xiao asked. "You can, provided your strength is sufficient," Electrolux replied. Lin Xiao's mind raced. He already pictured how to deal with Xiaoling. "Teacher, can that divine sense be taken out?" He referred to the divine sense Old Yao had taken from Xiaoling. Old Yao had removed Xiaoling's divine sense, but its current whereabouts were unknown. Chapter 38, The Arrangement of Divine Sense, Han Shanshan. Lin Xiao watched the little ball of black light with eager anticipation. The divine sense of God King Xiaoling, how would it react when it met Wang Dong? He imagined the scene already. "Brother Chen has already given it to me," Electrolux said, and produced the sphere. Inside, a faint golden miniature figure struggled, pulse-like. "Xiaozi, how do you want to deal with this divine sense?" Electrolux asked, studying the trapped image. "If you have no better ideas, I can turn this divine sense into a puppet and make it your personal bodyguard," Lin Xiao suggested with a hint of malice. Electrolux studied the sphere calmly. "Teacher, if I make it into a puppet, can its memories and consciousness be preserved?" Lin Xiao didn't want Xiaoling's memories wiped. That would be too tidy, too easy. He wanted the divine sense conscious, forced to serve, forced to witness everything he'd lost. His schemes collapsing, his heart breaking, his sanity fraying. He wanted Xiaoling to feel that torture of seeing hope and being utterly powerless. Manipulators eventually become the manipulated. "It's possible," Electrolux admitted, "but it will take time." "It wouldn't be as fast as making a standard puppet," he added after a moment. Crafting a sentient puppet was a laborious, delicate process. Fortunately, this divine sense had already been shattered by Old Yao. It was weakened enough that Electrolux could handle it now. Had it been whole, he'd have had to wait. "Then I want it to be a conscious puppet," Lin Xiao said without hesitation. A conscious Xiaoling, made to serve his enemy, unable to protest, watching his 10,000-year plan collapse, seeing his father and mother appear before him. Lin Xiao felt a wicked glee at the thought. Letting the divine sense keep its consciousness was simply more delicious torture. A sentient Xiaoling was far more interesting than an empty shell. "Xiaozi," Electrolux said lightly, "if Brother Chen knew you were this cruel, he'd definitely give you hell when he wakes." Electrolux didn't see anything wrong. This was the conduct for enemies. Mercy was for friends. Lin Xiao smiled thinly. "If you knew what this god has done, you wouldn't think I'm being excessive." Electrolux's interest was piqued. What could he have done? Lin Xiao answered calmly, as if reciting cold facts. He kept things from his wife. He split his daughter's soul into two halves. And that's only one of his crimes. There are too many to list. He said it with a placid tone that made the words all the colder. As a bystander, he'd watched Xiaoling's deeds and grown used to the cruelty. Electrolux, who toyed with souls himself, had not expected someone to go so far as to touch their own child like that. If old Yao learned the truth, he might have acted to destroy Xiaoling outright. Huh, Electrolux murmured. I didn't expect him to be like that. In that case, I can give him a body later so he can feel the pain for himself. He had an innocent smile, but to the trapped divine sense it was terrifying. Listening to the exchange, the Ice Empress could only think that humans were ruthless in ways beasts could never be. Spirit beasts were straightforward. Humans plotted and refined cruelty. Xiaoling's divine sense was stunned and frantic. How could they know his plans? He tried desperately to speak, to contact his main body. He could do neither. He was utterly finished. Teacher, for the body you mentioned, will we need any special materials? Lin Xiao asked. If possible, could one be made for old Yao as well? Electrolux glanced up. Xiaozi, I know what you're thinking. The materials I'd use for this body aren't suitable for Brother Chen. His power is very high. It's better to use finer, gentler materials for him. I've discussed this with him. If possible, it's best to use materials from his own world. Things from one's own world don't carry that sense of rejection. As for this divine sense, Electrolux added with a shrug, it doesn't matter. When dealing with a beast or a god that deserved nothing, there was no need for elegant materials. They didn't deserve it. Lin Xiao nodded, already thinking ahead. The materials of Douluo would be poorer. Using components from Battle Through the Heavens would be better where possible. Teacher, is there a way to extract a soul right now? Lin Xiao asked. In this undead semiplane, Electrolux was the strongest presence. This should be possible here. Electrolux looked at him in mild surprise. Xiaozi, whose soul do you want to extract? Not mine. For teacher. Lin Xiao tapped his ring. Electrolux's eyes widened. You mean there's another soul fused in that ring besides Brother Chen's? Lin Xiao answered, a trace of tenderness in his voice. Yes and no. That soul is fused with teacher's heavenly flame. That soul was teacher's teacher and his confidant. Teacher did so much for me. I want to do something back for him. Lin Xiao felt a twinge of pain for his mentor. Han Shanshan, she'd sacrificed herself for old Yao. She'd been his teacher and confidante. Perhaps her death weighed heavily on him. Now that they were in this undead semiplane, Lin Xiao had hope, the chance to extract her soul from Brother Chen's bone-chilling heavenly flame. Electrolux fell silent at the revelation. A confidant? He, too, had once had a childhood sweetheart, though their story had ended differently. For a moment he was torn between envy and pity for Brother Chen. He shook it off. Whatever had been was gone. Xiaozi, Brother Chen's heavenly flame is not something I can touch, Electrolux said quietly. If even a trace of it gets on me, I'll be in trouble. But that doesn't mean there's no way. The solution lies in this plane. Using the plane's power to extract her soul might work. However, as you said, her soul is already fused with the heavenly flame. The best approach would be to let that heavenly flame become her body. Do you understand? He looked at Lin Xiao. Relying on Electrolux alone would be impossible. The heavenly flame was too potent. Everything would hinge on the power of the plane. Electrolux had already made up his mind to hand this plane over to Lin Xiao. How Lin Xiao used it would be his choice, and the price for what he wanted to accomplish would not be small. Lin Xiao's mind began to work rapidly. Plane power. Tang Hao, who was slowly devouring the plane consciousness, would be useful. If Tang Hao could be used to enhance or harness the plane's strength, perhaps they could fashion a body out of the plane itself, allowing the heavenly flame to become that body and releasing Han Shanshan's soul. He glanced around, calculating. Tang Hao's absorption of this plane's consciousness could be turned to advantage. He already had a plan forming in his head. Chapter 39, Necromancy, the Sea of Spirit. After receiving Electrolux's technique, Lin Xiao resolved that this semiplane had to be made whole. At present, the undead semiplane held nothing but the undead. Beyond them, there was only emptiness. Electrolux studied the throne in the center and said, Xiaozi, from now on is entrusted to you, Hugh. He reached out and gently tapped Lin Xiao's brow, sending a faint, mysterious current into his mind. Instantly, Lin Xiao's head was filled with that terrifying energy and a flood of information rushed into his brain. He immediately lost consciousness. Elder Yi, is Xiaozi all right? The Ice Empress asked, drifting to Lin Xiao's side and circling him. He was still breathing. Don't worry, Electrolux replied. I've transmitted low-level necromancy to him. He's receiving the inheritance now. He'll be fine when he wakes. Electrolux walked slowly to the throne, looked over the surroundings, and sat down. As he stroked the armrest, he fell into a quiet reverie, recalling fragments of the past. I wonder how Haochen is doing, he murmured. He was still lost in memory when Lin Xiao opened his eyes and saw him smile, stepping down from the throne. How are you feeling? Do you understand it? Lin Xiao nodded faintly. Teacher, I still need practice. I only grasp the basics. Having just received the inheritance, putting it to use was understandably difficult. Electrolux said, when the time comes, if you use Do Qi to perform necromancy, its power will be far greater than using soul power. Teacher, are you specializing in Do Qi? Lin Xiao asked, curious. How else would Electrolux know Do Qi made necromancy stronger? Electrolux smiled and shook his head. Not exactly. I simply used the Do Qi stored in the ring to test a simple spell and discovered that. So that was it. Lin Xiao had suspected Electrolux was practicing Do Qi with Yao Lao, and that wasn't impossible. Once he had a body, Do Qi would likely be the best choice. All right, Electrolux said, climb up. From now on, you're the master of this plane. He pushed Lin Xiao gently and sent him to the throne. Lin Xiao sat down without hesitation, but felt nothing different. Teacher, it's just a chair. Nothing's changed, he said, scratching his head. That was originally just an ordinary throne, Electrolux said. Having you sit on it is to remind you, if you want to reach the peak, you still need to work hard. He stroked the Ice Empress in his arms and smiled. Lin Xiao laughed. A throne's significance comes from people. It only means anything once someone strong sits upon it. He felt no attachment to it and walked away. What about the immortal plants, he asked. With the plane's affairs in order, it was time to increase his own strength. Those immortal plants are currently slumbering beneath Brother Chen's soul power, Electrolux explained. It will take at least a few months for them to wake. If you want to use them, it's best to have Brother Chen refine them into pills for you. Electrolux produced a book, The Poison Scripture Left by Xiao Ling. Lin Xiao leafed through it and found it redundant. With Yao Lao in his ring, the poison scripture wasn't particularly useful. He'd already memorized its contents, and the hidden weapons it contained were inferior to spirit tools. An idea occurred to him. What if he spread the scripture around? But that plan would have to wait until he could move the ice and fire yin-yang well. Otherwise, obtaining those dragon bones would be difficult. Electrolux said nothing. The boy was thinking for himself. Can the immortal plants be transplanted into this plane? Lin Xiao asked. If they could, life might be brought into this world. Electrolux considered this and replied, not by themselves. If you brought the red and blue pool, the ice and fire yin-yang well, into this plane, then they could be planted. Lin Xiao's disappointment was immediate. The well was probably being guarded. He wouldn't be able to get it anytime soon. The undead semiplane, after all, was a world of the dead. Vitality was absent here. It was a paradise for the undead, not a cradle for life. So Lin Xiao stayed, practicing necromancy while cultivating both soul power and Do Qi. He lived each day productively, and a month slipped by. One morning, Lin Xiao traced a circle in the air and opened a spatial gate. Stepping outside and breathing fresh air, he felt refreshed. During the last month, he'd felt stifled. He couldn't imagine how Yao Lao had endured being alone in the ring for so long. The thought alone made him uncomfortable. He left the room and found Doupo. Xiaoer, you've come at the right time. I bought the ranked engraving knife you wanted, Doupo said. He'd been worried after not seeing Lin Xiao for a month, but now he was relieved. Lin Xiao took the knife and felt a sinister aura emanate from it. Electrolux, in the ring, clicked his tongue. What a waste of God's gifts, such fine living gold, forged like this. Lin Xiao didn't respond. If it weren't for Doupo, he'd have had to steal the ranked engraving knife. He had no money. He thanked Doupo sincerely. We're family. No need to be so formal, Doupo waved. I'm still hoping to break through to rank 99. After parting, Lin Xiao returned to his room and handed the ranked engraving knife to Electrolux. Under Electrolux's powerful purification, the blade was stripped down and a piece of living gold was extracted. Xiao Xiaozi, Electrolux said. Brother Chen only needs half to wake. I'll use the other half to open your sea of spirit. Lin Xiao's face lit up. He sat cross-legged as Electrolux injected half of the living gold into Yao Lao's soul and guided Doqi into him. Then Electrolux stood by Lin Xiao with the remaining half. As Electrolux unleashed his energy, a life-filled aura washed over Lin Xiao. Mental energy surged, as if it would tear his mind apart. Cold sweat broke across his forehead. He clenched his teeth and endured the pain. Electrolux worked methodically, vanishing and reappearing inside Lin Xiao's sea of consciousness. The sea was repeatedly torn apart and rebuilt, cycle after cycle. Bit by bit, Lin Xiao's sea of consciousness was opened and expanded. Chapter 40, The Message of the Strange Flame, the Poison Invincible's Choice. The rising sun lazily warmed Lin Xiao's body. After an unknown stretch of time, he finally opened his eyes. Xiao Xiaozi, congratulations, your soul power has reached the mortal realm. The voice belonged to Yao Lao. Lin Xiao sank into his sea of consciousness and found 3 figures already waiting for him. Teacher, you're recovered. Lin Xiao couldn't hide his excitement. He hadn't expected Yao Lao to recuperate so quickly. It's been a week. I simply fell into a deep sleep after channeling too much energy. I wasn't seriously injured, Yao Lao replied calmly. In the end, God King Xiaoling's divine sense had proved disappointing. It hadn't even managed to wound Yao Lao. Lin Xiao had never expected that, but he was relieved. His teacher's recovery was well worth it. Between the living gold and the Doqi I had stored, I was able to wake. I still need time before I can use my full strength, though. Yao Lao explained, and Lin Xiao understood. His teacher wasn't yet completely recovered. It would mean hunting spirit beasts for spirit rings and replenishing Doqi to restore full power. So, can I refine pills now? Lin Xiao asked eagerly. He'd refined many unranked pills and wanted to try a tier 1 pill. You can, of course, but refining pills isn't the most important thing right now. Yao Lao's tone shifted. I sensed an aura similar to a heavenly flame. Whether it truly is a heavenly flame, you need to go verify yourself. Those words hit Lin Xiao like thunder in his chest. A heavenly flame, or something like one. Could it be in the ice and fire yin-yang well? That place was formed from the remains of 2 dragons. Even Yao Lao wasn't certain. Regardless, any powerful flame would be an incredible boon. Lin Xiao had to investigate, not only for the flame but for the 2 dragon remains. If he could secure the ice and fire yin-yang wax well, the advantage would be enormous. Teacher, that place may already be guarded. I probably can't get in right away. Though excited, Lin Xiao wasn't foolish enough to rush in and risk losing everything. Yao Lao nodded. No rush. As long as that god doesn't act, no one can take it. Lin Xiao agreed. He'd already claimed the immortal plants. A powerful flame might follow, but he wasn't sure what defenses Xiaoling had set up or what state the well was in now. Better to wait until the current commotion subsided before investigating. Then wait if you must. If you can't go now, you can go later. Yao Lao's voice was steady. Xiao Xiaozi, go and call Dubusi here. Yao Lao turned to Lin Xiao. Lin Xiao knew the reason immediately. Dubusi had to be involved in his impending breakthrough to level 99. Dubusi had already met Yao Lao before. There was no need to hide anything. Lin Xiao left his sea of consciousness, straightened his clothes, and hurried to Dubusi's residence. He called out the moment he arrived. Teacher! Teacher! Dubusi appeared in a flash at the sound of Lin Xiao's excited voice. The 2 exchanged looks full of mutual understanding. Dubusi grabbed Lin Xiao and pulled him into his room. The moment they arrived, Yao Lao surfaced from Lin Xiao's sea of consciousness. Confronted again with Yao Lao's presence, Dubusi felt pressure wash over him. This was no ordinary being. He swallowed and fumbled for a greeting. Before he could, Yao Lao raised a hand and said with a hint of playfulness in his otherwise serious tone, "Just call me Brother Chen from now on." "Chen? Brother Chen," Dubusi stammered, trying to regain his composure. Yao Lao nodded approvingly. Lin Xiao was surprised. "Teacher? You just agreed to that?" Dubusi, on the other hand, calmed himself quickly. He had learned to adapt. Yao Lao produced several plants from Lin Xiao's ring. Lin Xiao recognized them at a glance. Blood-colored swan kiss, jade phosphor 9 absolute flower, and jade phosphor 7 absolute flower. The blood-colored swan kiss immediately drew Dubusi's attention. He could feel its pull. With it, he stood a good chance of breaking through to level 99. Yao Lao laid out 2 options. "Busy, I'll give you 2 choices. You can consume this immortal plant directly. It will massively amplify the poison within your body and could enable you to break through to level 99 now. Or you can wait while I refine these into a pill. I'm missing a few ingredients for the pill, and I'm not sure if they exist on this continent. Both methods have pros and cons. A pill will maximize the effect of the immortal plant, but it will take time, and there's uncertainty in finding the missing components. Doupo hesitated, then turned to Yao Lao. Brother Chen, I'll wait for your pill. Tell me what ingredients are missing, and I'll go find them right away. Yao Lao described the 3 needed medicinal ingredients. Doupo had never heard of them, but Yao Lao's descriptions were precise enough that Doupo could recognize them if he saw them. He bowed slightly. Thank you, Brother Chen. Yao Lao waved his hand. We should be the ones thanking you. Without you, Xiao wouldn't be where he is today. Heh, we're both his teachers. It's only right. Doupo's smile was a little forced. He was still awkward around Yao Lao, but he meant it. Then I'll go look for the materials, Doupo said. Without waiting for more, he glanced at Lin Xiao and left. Even without demonstrating his power, Yao Lao's reserve had left a deep impression and immense pressure on Doupo. Once outside, Doupo took a deep breath and muttered, "The pressure Brother Chen gives is really intense." He summoned the higher-ups of the body sect, told them the descriptions of the missing ingredients, and ordered them to find them quickly. Orders were orders. They acted at once, even if they didn't know the full plan. Back in the room, after Doupo left, Electrolux appeared holding the Ice Empress in his arms. Xiao, practice hard. Your burden is heavy. Electrolux patted Lin Xiao's shoulder, spoke softly, and then vanished back into the ring. Xiao, come upstairs. I'll teach you alchemy and refine these immortal plants into pills for you, Yao Lao added. Lin Xiao's face lit up. Consuming immortal plants directly would provide an immediate, massive boost, but a properly refined pill would be even more potent. He didn't hesitate. If Yao Lao could refine those pills, Lin Xiao's talent and aptitude would improve to unprecedented levels. With that chance on the table, he wouldn't miss it for the world.